Hey guys. This is part 4 of What If Naruto Has No Chakra. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 10. When Naruto exited the Hokage's house, he glanced at his ultra-perfectly scheduled agenda. He had to meet a few girls in less than 4 hours, and he would succeed. Let's go. The first one was Ayam. Knocking at the door of the apartment she shared with her father, Naruto waited patiently, carrying one suitcase. The young woman opened it silently. She had dropped her waitress uniform and bandana for a black, casual dress, which the blonde found rather elegant. Naruto, what is 30 million ryo, he declared, revealing the money inside the suitcase to a surprised Ayam. For Ichiraku's. But where did you find that much money? Ayam asked in shock, seizing the suitcase to see whether or not the ryo inside were fake. Short story, I gambled. Long story, I went with a crazy old man to a casino yesterday night, and I kept winning so many times the owners gave me a lot of money just to see me gone. Naruto smiled cheerfully. I'm sure it will be enough for the expansion. Naruto, you're an angel. She grabbed the blonde by the shoulders, approached his head from her own, and kissed his cheek. The boy blushed in surprise, and the waitress smiled kindly upon releasing the embrace. Would you like to come inside? I'd like to offer you breakfast. Sorry, I've got a few errands to run, he politely declined, before waving at her and leaving. But don't worry, you can cook me a few ramen tonight. When he arrived before the Hyuga compound, Naruto glanced at his watch. He was 30 minutes behind on his schedule, which was bad. Alright, he thought, climbing the walls and exploiting the flaws in the guard's routine to enter unhindered, this will be quick. Reaching the training ground, Naruto found Hinata and a little Hyuga girl practicing the gentle fist. Recognizing the latter as Hanabi, Hinata's younger sister and the possible heir of the clan, the blonde decided to ignore her hostile gaze. Hinata, I've something to tell you. You're the one who humiliated father, Hanabi stated, cutting in. You have no right to be there. Look, I don't have the time. I do, Hanabi replied, adopting a threatening stance. I will expel you myself. Naruto rolled his eyes, and lazily dodged a Juken strike. Alright, if you wish to fight me, then revel in my divine power. Joining his hands, the blonde prepared his ultimate technique, 1,000 years of death. Then he put his finger in Hanabi's ass. While the young girl shrieked at the surprise contact, it couldn't compare to her older sister's horrified reaction. Using all his strength in one motion, Naruto sent the little girl to fly. She'll survive, Naruto told the shocked Hinata, not bothering to look where Hanabi had landed. And Naruto-senpai, that was disgusting. Trust me, it's a lot less anally violating than Anko's version, he replied, inwardly praying it wouldn't be taken for sexual assault on a minor. I'm already behind on my schedule, so I will make it quick. Congratulations for reaching the 3rd exam. You did superbly. Thank you. However, I'm pretty certain you have a rough idea of how Neji will react if you do fight him in the first round, and why. Hinata narrowed her eyes in shame. You've nothing to do with what happened to his dad, but he won't care. He will beat you up senselessly due to his grudge against the main family. This is hard to say, but I won't surrender, she interrupted, her voice betraying her inner determination. I have gotten this far. I will not disappoint my team and my father, Naruto sighed. He had expected this answer. I hope to convince you to give up, but I respect your choice. I will try convincing Neji not to be petty, but if it looks bad, I advise you to surrender before he resorts to extreme force. I have to impress my clan, she replied. This is the only way. I have to remove the caged bird seal. Well, that's... Naruto's eyes widened upon understanding what she had said. Care to repeat? If I become heiress and the clan's head, I will have the authority needed to abolish the branch family. Hinata interlaced her fingers. I hope to remove Neji's seal after I become Chunin. If I pass on my first try, the elders will be impressed enough to agree. A myriad of plans took shape in Naruto's mind, until he found an interesting one. I think I may have a solution. After explaining his plan to Hinata, who seemed slightly skeptical, Naruto prepared to leave, and realized he had forgotten something. By the way, you and Kiba would make a cute couple. The Hyuga heiress blinked. What? He cares about you, yet in spite of his bravado he's inwardly too shy to ask a girl out, so he tries to impress you through different means, Naruto explained. Since he's a better match than myself, perhaps you should try dating him. Wait! Hinata commanded, yet too late. The blonde had vanished, abandoning her to her thoughts. Hurrying as fast as he could, Naruto managed to reach the top of the Hokage monument on time, sweating and panting. "You're exhausted to the point of collapsing," Fa noted disapprovingly, helping him get on his feet. "Are you sure you can do it?" "Yeah, I'm just a little tired," he grinned, bringing out his tools from hidden pockets. "Sannin Gigi is going to have a cardiac arrest when he sees it." When they finished, Naruto was tired, and very, very late. As he raced as fast as his legs could toward the Hokage tower, he realized there was no way he would make it on time. Shit. Hey brat, you running late too?" Jiraiya suddenly appeared at his right, running as well. "What were you doing?" "I was being awesome." "And you?" "Being more awesome." "The Han is sorry to say you're both little league compared to his divine glory." The Gobi's Jinchuriki started running next to them, coming out of nowhere. "Where are you going?" he asked his fellow demon vessel. "The Hokage tower, but we won't be able to reach the Sandame's office in time." "Oh, that?" The giant chuckled. "The Han knows a shortcut route. This is why I asked you to return," Sarutobi said. "Will you fight for us?" Tsunade hadn't changed in the slightest. Of course, this was probably the result of her special henge, of which her old teacher was secretly jealous. She appeared in her 20s, wearing a sleeveless gray outfit flaunting her sizable cleavage. Her brown eyes and blonde hair, combined with her beautiful face, confirmed her reputation as one of the world's most beautiful kunoichi. Her apprentice, Shizen, had been a little girl the last time Sarutobi had met her. She had grown into a fair and slender woman, with short black hair and eyes of the same color. She was wearing a bluish kimono and carrying a pig. Sarutobi would have found it strange if he wasn't occupied scratching the back of the platypus sleeping on his lap. Damn Naruto, couldn't he give him a less ridiculous animal to take care of? No. "Sorry, Sarutobi-sensei. I can't." Tsunade shook her head. "I can heal the people injured during the fighting, however. This is not of a healer I need. It's a frontline fighter." Sarutobi inhaled from his pipe. Jiraiya and Naruto should have there already, with their perfect solution to the Tsunade problem. "What were they doing?" "While your actions will save many lives, Orochimaru is an army all of his own, and I need highly skilled ninjas to deal with him. I've abandoned the fighting a long time ago," she shrugged. Sarutobi believed her hemophobia had something to do with it, along her general dislike of Konoha as a whole. "I don't want to do it anymore." If so, then the windows shattered. Sarutobi instinctively put himself on guards, imitated by Tsunade and her apprentice. Both glanced, amazed, at the people having crashed on his desk. "Did?" Jiraiya groaned, his face and limbs covered with scrapes. Naruto Uzumaki was standing atop him, the Sannin having served as an unwilling protection and landing platform. "Did your friend just throw us through the office's windows? Well, thanks for having sacrificed yourself, being my meat shield, and serving as a comfortable shock absorber." Naruto's feet met the office's ground, and he politely bowed to the people present. "Hi, I'm the amazing Naruto Uzumaki, Konoha's soon-to-be strongest ninja," he told Tsunade and Shizen. "Nice to meet you, Mrs." Both women stared at him blankly, unable to mutter anything. "Sorry for the dynamic entry, but we were running late." Naruto briefly observed the legendary kunoichi, quite impressed by her assets. Jiraiya wasn't kidding when he said she had the biggest bust in the elemental nations. "So? Will we fight together against Orochimaru?" Regaining control of herself, Tsunade snorted. "Sorry brat," she shrugged, glancing at Jiraiya. "Is this your new apprentice, Jiraiya? If I find out you tried to teach him your habits." "Nice to see you too," Tsunadeheim, the Sannin deadpanned, occupied at removing the glass shards from his flesh. "Bring it out, kid. She isn't going to fight for us otherwise." Naruto searched in his pockets and pulled out a contract before presenting it to Tsunade. "It's a copy," he explained. "The real one is safe elsewhere." The Sannin started reading it. "This document is the proof," she began reading, "that Naruto Uzumaki and Jiraiya have collectively brought the gambling debts of Tsunade Senju from her debtors. Tsunade Senju, heir of the Senju, therefore owes them a debt of 300 million ryo. She actually blinked, as she is considered insolvent. The United Casino and Gambling Association will refuse her entry to any establishments under their authority until the debts are erased. It was faster to pull off than we thought it would be, Jiraiya admitted. Now, you can't gamble anymore unless you pay back your debts. In my case, I'm now dead broken, Naruto whined. But I don't have these funds. Tsunade complained, trying to find evidence, any indication, that the document was a forgery. Well, we could erase this debt if you helped us a little, Jiraiya grinned. Like giving us support during the invasion. Sarutobi carefully brought out from his desk a bottle of sake. Seeing Tsunade's horrified and cornered expression, the Hokage decided helping drown her anger would be a good thing. Hey, see the good side of things. Naruto smiled cheerfully. You won't have to whore out to pay back your cred. Killing intent caused him to take a step back. What, did you say, brat? The Senju asked, clenching her jaw. Isn't your nickname the legendary sucker? Tsunade twitched but nodded. Well, since you're a woman of legendary beauty. I thought it meant. Tsunade reddened like a tomato upon understanding the implications. Jiraiya's reaction did not improve things. Oh, I get it. The pervert roared in laughter. Ah. Tsunadeheim, you're such a dirty girl. The Senju, vowing to murder Jiraiya at a later date, grabbed Naruto's throat and lifted him above the ground with one hand. You brat. She seethed, causing Sarutobi to ponder whether or not he would have to intervene. Give me one reason not to kill you on the spot. Read the fine print, Naruto replied calmly, putting the contract in front of Tsunade's face. The Sannin grinded her teeth and complied. In case Tsunade Senju is to injure and or kill Naruto Uzumaki, the property of her debts will be fully transferred to Jiraiya of the Sannin. Her eyes widened in horror, making her his unwilling slave, forever. Sarutobi silently opened the bottle of sake and offered it to his female student. It took 3 more bottles and 1 hour of careful diplomatic discussions to convince her not to go on a rampage and to agree to help Konoha, which would result in Jiraiya and Naruto canceling her debt and allowing her to gamble again. When it was over, Naruto smirked at the Sandaime. Understanding he was about to be pranked, the old man caressed his new pet platypus and waited. Bring it on. Look at the Hokage monument. Sarutobi did as he was told, and for an instant didn't find the problem. The faces of the 5 Hokage were where they should be. Sarutobi blinked. 5? He pondered, until realization hit him with the strength of a sledgehammer. Naruto had sculpted his face onto the Hokage monument. See? See? I told you I would do it. Naruto boasted to Jiraiya. Now you owe me a favor. I admit it, brat. You've got balls. The Sannin glanced at his teacher. Sarutobi-sensei? I am torn between wanting to punish Naruto and asking how he managed to pull it off at all, the Hokage admitted. I am indecisive. When you proposed to give me this seal, Naruto began, I wondered, what would I offer you as gift in return for your kindness? Flowers? A scary impractical armor with spikes everywhere? Then I remembered you idealized Tsunade. The Senju entered the weapon shop. So I brought her to you. Tenten had the face of, scratch that. Naruto had never seen her with this expression. The kunoichi seemed entranced, paralyzed. She slowly approached and touched the older woman, as if wanted to see whether or not it was someone wearing a henge. Then she attempted a genjutsu dispelling. Then she started asking difficult questions only either a fanatical fan of the Senju princess or Tsunade herself could answer. Naruto actually learned interesting tidbits of info. That, for example, Tsunade's favorite food was chicken breasts, and her least favorite food liver sashimi. Her favorite sentence was 1 grab, 1,000 gold. That she created the 4 rules to which medicnines abide by. Then, upon realizing that yes, it was Tsunade, Tenten hugged Naruto, nearly squishing him. I love you so much! She shouted happily. You're welcome, but you're choking me. Naruto gasped for air, when the kunoichi released the embrace and nearly immediately asked Tsunade for an autograph. The blonde watched his friend, happy to see her in such a good mood. It had taken a lot of time to convince Tsunade to agree to this visit. After all, she already disliked Naruto himself for blackmailing her, and simply being on friendly terms with Jiraiya. Considering the old man's habits and Naruto's own comments, she was probably convinced he was a pervert in the making. However, after being told Tenten idealized her and wanted to be a pretty strong kunoichi and wanted to castrate Jiraiya, Tsunade had strangely ceased complaining, deciding to meet the girl herself. Leaving the two inside the weapon shop, Naruto confronted Jiraiya outside. The Sannin was reading the anti-chakra seal's design, genuinely impressed. Your girlfriend will be a seal master, he outright told his younger friend. She's wasting her skills on taijutsu. Can't Tenten be good both at taijutsu and sealing? Naruto rolled his eyes. And for the 3rd time today, she isn't my girlfriend. Ah yes, I forgot it was Hyuga. Or Fu. Or that waitress. I admit I lost count. Jiraiya locked eyes with the Jinchuriki. How do you do that? Do what? Getting girls wanting to get into your pants while doing nothing out of the ordinary. Is it a kind of hidden technique? Naruto palmed his face. He had underestimated how badly Jiraiya could misunderstand the situation. Just because you are friends with a lot of girls doesn't mean they're necessarily chasing you or vice versa. The Sannin snorted, unconvinced. The Hyuga girl has had a crush on you since you were a kid. This Tenten goes to pretty extreme lengths to help you for a mere friend, and you seem to have grown nearly inseparable of this Fu girl and Hyuga. The waitress kissed you. If at 15 you're building a harem, I want to see what you will be at 20. You think I'm a closet womanizer? Naruto's jaw dropped. Look, Hinata has serious self-esteem problems and latched at the most determined person she set her sight on in hope of finding strength anywhere but in herself. This is a deeply rooted psychological issue, and I blame her father for destroying her self-confidence. Tenten is one of my best friends, and it will stay that way. Naruto crossed his arms. Fu did not have a real friend before she met Han and I, and just as I tend to be clingy to the few people that do not hate me outright, she is deeply enjoying the experience. Hyuga recently lost her lover and is in serious need of moral support, hence why we hang out together. And the Jinchuriki briefly blinked. Wait, how did you learn I am kissed me? I don't remember any other witness. I'm always watching over you. Especially at night. Naruto took a step back. Not in that way, moron. Ever since I has heard Orochimaru attempted to abduct you twice, I keep an eye on you anytime I'm not peeping or working for the Hokage, just in case. The Sannin coughed briefly, turning back to the important subject. While you may be blind for the others, you just can't deny the waitress and Tenten like you. Why are you so adverse to romantic relationships? At your age, most teens think with what they have between the legs, Jiraiya admitted bluntly. That's precisely why I don't want to pursue any relationship. Naruto shrugged his shoulders at the Sannin's incomprehension. Jiraiya-sama. Call me Jiraiya, brat. Jiraiya-sama makes me feel old. You are old, Naruto almost blurted, managing to restrain himself at the last second. Jiraiya, I've never been in a romantic relationship. But I've seen others try. I've seen reasonable people do stupid things for a single smile from their crush. And a friend of mine was deeply affected by the loss of her lover. What would I do if my girlfriend was captured by Orochimaru, or killed because of me? I would probably make stupid decisions I cannot afford. Jiraiya observed him strangely. You're wise, kid. And too dutiful to be happy. Death is lighter than a feather, duty heavier than a mountain. Naruto shrugged. I was ready to sacrifice a potential family life when I decided to become a shinobi. I still am. Jiraiya inhaled sharply. Kid, don't do that. Before Naruto could retort, the Sannin had already started explaining. This way of thinking will make you a better shinobi, yes. You will have fewer weaknesses. But there is no greater danger for yourself than emotional repression. We're humans. We're not machines. In face of tragedy, we need emotional attachment to press forward. The ninjas who slowly cut off nearly all their bonds either become self-destructive wrecks, like Kakashi and me, or turn into emotionless killing machines, like Itachi Uchiha. Naruto narrowed his eyes. You're a self-destructive wreck? I think it's bad news when the only people I speak with on a regular basis are Sarutobi and you, the sage snorted. To return back to your friend's anti-chakra seal, the theory has merits. If you ignore the multiple problems I will have to solve, it could indeed be designed. So you can make it work? Yes. When and how, however, is hard to determine it. With luck I will be able to finish a prototype before the invasion, but boy, sealing needs a lot of field testing. Jiraiya snorted. One day I saw your mom turning green and shouting Hulk smashes because one of her seals malfunctioned. An explosion of smoke interrupted the discussion. A creature manifested right in front of the duo. It was a black cobra. A big cobra. Naruto had little doubt the creature could crush bones with its tail, and its scales thick enough to resist arrows. The animal's eyes were just as black as its body, and the design on his hood was composed of shades of golden, representing opened eyes. It was carrying a scroll. My name is Apophis, Naruto-sama, the snake hissed politely. I am a messenger and herald of the white snake sage. I swear that old reptile crashes in at the worst times on purpose. Jiraiya crossed his arms. What does he want? I have been tasked by the white snake sage to assist and help Naruto-sama. As a token of good faith, the creature declared, after deposing the scroll to the ground. The white snake sage decided since you sought an animal familiar, I was the most fit to fill the role and teach you your duties as snake summoner. I have also been ordered to give Naruto-sama important news. The fact the Serpent Elder had been informed of Naruto's desires was both impressive, disturbing, and interesting. He would have to confirm it was a true story later. The blonde handed the scroll to Jiraiya. Is there a seal or a trap? It could be a trick. The Sannin analyzed quickly, and handed the document back to the blonde. Silently, the teen opened it, and since his face didn't explode, he started reading it. His expression and mood worsened considerably, and he had to fight against the temptation to cry. Hey, what does it say? Jiraiya asked, sounding worried. It says Anko was killed during the rescue mission. When he arrived for the Kage meeting, Naruto immediately understood Sarutobi had been informed about Anko. He simply had to see his uneasy expression. I know what happened, the blonde said with a surprising lack of emotion. He had already cried all the tears in his body before arriving, with Jiraiya as the sole witness of this display of weakness. The Hokage had clenched his jaw and uttered a single sentence. I am sorry. Konoha was in high spirits when the wind and water delegations arrived. The delegations were actually pretty small, no more than 20 people, most of them ANBU or advisors. Many would consider it suicidal for the heads of nations to travel with such a petty escort, but Kage were armies of one man. They would be present for 2 weeks and then leave. 2 weeks, and the third exam would start. 2 weeks, and the invasion would start. 2 weeks, and Naruto would have a shot at avenging Anko. The two Kage immediately asked to meet their Konohagakure counterpart. Sarutobi welcomed them in an expensive, soundproof reception hall, abiding by the old rule of bringing 2 bodyguards. Jiraiya had volunteered, his impressive reputation being a boon for negotiations, and since the Sandaime desired the Leaf's Jinchuriki to be present, Naruto worked as the second bodyguard. The Kazekage's first bodyguard was a jounin called Baki, and Gaara's jounin teacher. The second was Gaara himself, which was unfortunately disturbing, as the redhead kept watching at Naruto all the time. He didn't bother to see whether or not his Kage was protected. He only smiled at the blonde demon vessel, like a hyena appraising an appetizing meal. It was bad. If Gaara wanted to kill the genin so badly, he would probably try to ambush him before the third exam's deadline. In an attempt to ignore the mad boy's eyes, Naruto focused on the rest of the people present. The Kazekage was a stern man. His traits oozed with coldness and heartlessness. The most worrying thing, however, was the family resemblance between him and Gaara. Considering the practice of creating Jinchuriki out of family members, Naruto immediately understood the two were either father and son or uncle and nephew. In both cases, how Gaara turned out spoke volume about the Kazekage's personality. The Mizukage's bodyguards were perhaps among the most bloodthirsty killers the 7 swordsmen had produced during their career. Kushimaru Kuriere and Jinpachi Munashi had been nicknamed the Heartless Pair by Konoha, and for good reasons. These two were rumored to have killed over 1,000 people during the most recent troubles in Kiri, according to Jiraiya. Half of them were non-combatants unfortunate enough to get in their way. The Mizukage was however quite different. Ever since Anko had spoken of her, Naruto had been searching for any info he could on Meitorumi, probably the deadliest kunoichi the Hidden Mist ever produced. Wielding 2 Kekai Genkai with incredible proficiency, she had claimed fame and glory during the last great ninja war by being the one to give the killing blow to the reputed unbeatable Third Raikage. When she was still a genin, of course, the guy had been fighting a force of 10,000 for 3 days, so he was already pretty weakened when she reached him, but it was the thought that mattered. She was also famed for her great beauty, and Naruto had to agree it was no exaggeration. Jiraiya himself seemed to be struggling to not drool. With her long auburn hair, shining green eyes, and bust, she was an eye-catcher. And considering her very revealing blue dress, she wasn't above using her sex appeal to her advantage. The discussion between the 3 Kage was pretty cordial, at least at first. After the usual greetings, the Kazekage and Hokage started discussing the recent troubles. Considering the Kazekage was planning an invasion, and Sarutobi was well aware of that, Naruto had to admit both were incredible actors. He nearly believed the Kazekage when he declared he was convinced Konoha had nothing to do with the border attacks, and that he would maintain peace between the two countries. And Naruto nearly believed the Hokage when the old man said he trusted the Kazekage with his life. The sheer hypocrisy of the scene could break any heart. This was diplomacy in a nutshell. However, the Mizukage actually stayed silent during most of the discussion, letting the men deal with their problems. In fact, she spent most of the meeting glancing at Naruto himself. Since both she and Gaara kept staring at him for nearly 2 hours, the teen found the experience slightly disturbing. He smiled at Mei, who smiled back. Obviously, he interested her. However, it was the Kazekage who first addressed Naruto's issue. I am surprised your Jinchuriki did not participate to the exams, the man noted. I believe it would be a good test if my son Gaara and him were to fight for the opening match of the third exam. This would be a show of force. Naruto quickly understood he intended to have Gaara kill him before the invasion started. I am afraid Naruto was promoted to Chunin yesterday by a decree of the Fire Daimyo, Sarutobi replied mirthfully. A Chunin fighting a genin wouldn't be fair. While this was a polite way of defusing the situation, Naruto was genuinely surprised by the admission, although he did not show it. Considering what Kiri's last Jinchuriki could do, Mei pointed out, a fight between two would cause untold damage to the region. The Kazekage was forced to back down, much to Gaara's displeasure. The meeting ended without much hassle, and Mei left with one last smile to Naruto, creeping him out. The rumors say she's onto male teens, Jiraiya told him, once the three Konohanins were finally alone. Lucky boy. Sometimes I wonder if wearing a mask would have been easier, Naruto joked, briefly pondering if this was the real reason Kakashi was constantly masked. She seemed subdued. He glanced at the Hokage. I guess it was planned between you. Most of our discussions were through proxies, Sarutobi coughed. Kiri will help us during the invasion. They can't give more strength than the people Terumi brought there, or else Suna would guess what's happening, but they will give support. Naruto nodded. The whole distant act had been plain to lessen the Kazekage's suspicions. Why would she help us? Because Akatsuki is behind the recent troubles in Kiri. Sarutobi interlaced his fingers. From what she told me, they discovered Hyuga, her predecessor, had been under the influence of a powerful genjutsu similar to Shursue's brainwashing technique for years. The village was already known as the Bloody Mist since the downfall of the Nide Mizukage, but at least some of Hyuga's recent actions had been orchestrated to make abducting both the Rokubi and bloodline wielders easier. To what end, she does not know, but the description of Hyuga's most secret and influential advisor matches the masked man's. It wasn't hard to put the two and two together. She wants Akatsuki gone and the Rokubi, or the Sanbai, back. In my humble opinion, they have been captured and sealed. Nearly all the remaining Jinchuriki are gathered in Konoha at this very instant. Akatsuki will interfere personally. And we're going to trap them. Naruto crossed his arms. I can already see their hand in the Kazekage's demand. They want Gaara and I to be weakened, so when they arrive they will reap us like harmless flowers. I guess my promotion was a preemptive measure? Considering the Kazekage's psychological profile, I guessed he would ask something like that. Luckily, I can read him like an open book. Considering your services, skill level and maturity, I considered you were worthy of a promotion. Both the daimyo and the clan head seconded my request. I will give you your new jacket tomorrow. Welcome in the adult world, Jiraiya gave the teen a light tap. I will explain to you the perks of being a Chunin later. Like free access to the red light, a silent glare of his old teacher caused the Sannin to pause. However, Sarutobi took his breath. There is one thing we have to do first. Anko's funeral had been a quiet ceremony, with only a few people attending. Beside the Hokage and Naruto himself, Yugao Yuzuki, Kakashi Hatake, Kurina Yuhi, Asuma Sarutobi, Mado Gai, and surprisingly, Mei Terumi and her bodyguards had been present. Considering the Kirinin had been a sort of rival of Orochimaru's former student, Anko's body had been incinerated, as per her last wishes. The ashes had been buried in the grave, while her name had been engraved on the memorial of the ninjas having fallen in the line of duty. When the ceremony was over, Naruto found himself staring at the monument alone with Yugao. Kakashi had given the blonde a brief apology, which he accepted without much thought. Most of his thoughts were directed toward how he could make this masked man pay. Violently, Naruto and Yugao stood in silence an instant, before the latter broke it. She made me promise to watch over you, she said. I intend to follow up on it. Aye, well, thanks. Naruto put his hands into his pockets. I have now a masked man on my hit list. It seems to be growing longer with each passing day. Me too. Yugao inhaled sharply. I'm going to watch over you from now on. And train the rest of the time. Well, we have 2 weeks left to improve. Should be enough. How can the Han make you lose this depressed face? The Jinchuriki asked, as he, Sasuke, and Fu continued drinking at a bar with Naruto. The Han is worried. You can't do a thing. He snorted. Although having Sasuke say he loves dolphins might work. You heard Foxy, Han told his disciple, who shook his head. Do you want to anger the Han, the breaker of bones and lord of all that is bad and nasty? I love dolphins. The Uchiha ground out through his clenched teeth, before locking eyes with Naruto. If you intend to take revenge, I'll help you in any way I can. Me too, Fu said, before trying to lighten the mood. Is it true you have been promoted to Chunin? Yep. Now I'm qualified as squad leader, and you are my loyal minions. Naruto snorted. Guys, if I propose you a plan, a very, very, very crazy plan, would go along with it. The Han always has a 100% chance of success, the giant replied. That's why the Han is awesome. Considering you have a little talent for pulling off insane ideas, I guess I might. Yes, Fu replied. Sasuke simply shrugged. Go ahead. Let me explain how we're going to tear Akatsuki a new one. You wanted to see me? Neji asked with a bored tone, as the two friends sat on a roof. It was late in the afternoon, and both of them were tired after intensive training. It seems Guy hasn't gone easy on you, Naruto whispered, pointing at the bruises. Or was it Tenten? Tenten and Hinata have taken lessons with Tsunade. The admission surprised the blonde. It appears the Senju princess has grown fond of these two and has been giving them private tutoring. Guy-sensei accepted, both because he was happy to see Tsunade take an interest in one of his students, and because it would allow him to focus more on Lee and myself. It was hard not to notice the hint of jealousy in Neji's voice. He resented seeing Hinata, a failure by fate's decree, getting the chance of being mentored by a famed kunoichi. Naruto coughed. I see. I actually didn't expect this when I introduced them to Granny Senju. He chuckled at Neji's outraged face. What? It's a funny nickname. Sometimes I wonder if fate did not balance your crippling handicap with astonishing luck. The Hyuga crossed his arms. Will you be there for the third exam? To see you make Chunin, you mean? I have already been promoted myself. Congratulations, although I saw it coming. It seems fate has a good future planned for you after all. I was mistaken. So my success has finally convinced you fate does not exist? Naruto asked hopefully. No, simply that I misunderstood its plans for you. Neji narrowed his eyes. What is the matter? It's about Hinata, Naruto began. I will not go gentle on her, Neji snapped, sounding bitter. Can't you understand what the main house did to the branch? This is my only chance at getting back at them. Hinata didn't do a thing to you. She's your cousin. Her father sacrificed his own brother to live. In the Hyuga clan, family means nothing. Neji narrowed his eyes. Get straight to the point. What do you want? Naruto inhaled sharply. Hinata intends to abolish the caged bird seal once she become heiress. I am afraid a humiliating loss would destroy her chance, and turn counterproductive in the long run. I do not ask you to lose on purpose, simply to make it seem like an intense struggle, and not go maim and kill mode on her. The Hyuga will never change. Fate decided they would be this way since immemorial times. Everybody who attempted to ease the situation of the branch failed miserably. Hinata will learn no matter how much she struggles, she will never win against destiny. Naruto snorted. Neji, how can you believe free will is a lie? How can I not believe in destiny when its physical manifestation was tattooed on my forehead when I was young? Neji sneered. You are the foolish one in believing you have any choice in what you are and will be. Let me prove you destiny exists. You wanted a full-blown fight against me, right? Then let's do it. I will prove you no matter how hard he tries. I was born to be a skilled slave, and you a crippled ninja. No. The Hyuga was genuinely surprised by the answer. Considering his friend's competitive nature, this was extremely out of character. Why? Because I have a more reliable way of proving you destiny is bullshit. One that does not involve me getting my ass kicked. Naruto crossed his arms. Yesterday, I made a bet with Jiraiya of the Sannin I would have the audacity and skill to put my face on the Hokage monument and then show it to the Sandaime. I've seen. It's a good thing the ANBU managed to remove it before the arrival of the diplomatic delegations, or else it would have caused unfortunate questions. Neji inhaled sharply. What did you bet? A favor. My original plan was to have him help me develop a few projects, yet Hinata gave me another idea. Naruto smirked. I asked him to officially take you as an apprentice, and he agreed. Neji actually gasped at the revelation. What? Why not? You are, for all intent and purposes, at the bottom of the social hierarchy, and the old man is fond of orphans and lost puppies. That, and considering the perverted way Neji used the Byakugan, Naruto was certain the two would get along perfectly. Hayashi and the elders will be honored to have a Sannin take an apprentice among them, even if he comes from the branch. I am grateful. I truly am, yet I fail to see what it is supposed to prove. Neji inhaled, oozing with pessimism. I would stay a slave to the Hyuga. It means nothing. No. It means nobody will complain when Jiraiya removes your caged bird seal. The training ground was silent and cold. The moon was high in the sky, and Naruto waited for Hyuga to show up, conversing with Apophis in the meantime. So you're Smog's nephew? Uncle spoke of you. The snake gazed into his partner's eyes. The king cobra breed of serpents was rumored to have an exceptional memory, never forgetting the face of an aggressor. Naruto guessed they were alike in this regard. He told me he looked forward to working with you again. Naruto chuckled lightly, before crossing his arms. May I ask you a question? You can, but I may not answer. What is this dragon's lair your uncle spoke of? The question caused the reptile to turn briefly white. Somewhere nasty? The serpent nodded. Are you aware of the legend snakes can ascend into dragons? This is not a legend. Naruto blanched. The dragon is the oldest serpent alive. Perhaps even the original one. It made his lair and nest in the deepest level of the Ryuchi cave, and almost never comes out. It is the divine king of all reptiles. The white snake sage, as the second oldest snake, serves as its speaker and rules in its absence. It rarely bothers to interfere with the world, and its last flight happened 2 centuries ago. But what is it doing? Naruto asked. No one is certain. Some say it is keeping an immense treasure, others pretend it is gathering strength and will one day lead the serpent to eternal victory. A few whisper the dragon is sealed, for its renewed flight would cause the world to end. Apophis snorted. Uncle says sometimes the dragon allows worthy humans to meet him, giving them legendary weapons it has forged with its breath or priceless knowledge. Those who enter without an invitation never return. Nice. Naruto raised his head, picking up a sound. You're late, he told Hyuga, glancing in the noise's direction. Except it wasn't Hyuga. I apologize if you were expecting someone else, Meitorumi replied softly in a friendly manner. She approached serenely, in appearance unaware of the ANBU watching hidden in the dark. My ass, of course she knows they're there, Naruto thought. What does she want? Is it a real snake? She asked, petting the head Naruto's new animal familiar. I am a king cobra, Apophis replied, slightly happy to be the center of attention. He is, Mizukage-sama, although it depends whether you consider summons real snakes or giant mutants. Naruto shrugged at the glare Apophis sent him. Hey! That's true, Mei chuckled lightly, causing Naruto to cross his arms. I am not certain Mizukage-sama has better things to do than speaking to a poor chunin like me, especially in the middle of the night. The not-so-subtle message was, why are you here? The Mizukage can go where she wants, as I told Sarutobi Dano. I am certain this is the same for a Jinchuriki. aka, I wanted to meet you. I am not as free as others, but then again, being a ninja is to have responsibilities and individuals to which you answer. Perhaps I was looking for an handsome man to meet under the moon, she whispered with a sly smile, which would have disarmed anyone else, but Naruto wasn't anyone. If she wants to play this game, I doubt such a beautiful woman as you would have troubles getting what she wants, he replied playfully, smiling mischievously. Thank you? Mei crossed her arms. Tell me, have you ever traveled to the land of water? No, but I heard it was a beautiful place. Except for the whole bloody civil wars deal, of course, it is. I wonder if Sarutobi Dano will allow you to visit it. I am certain you would appreciate the hidden mist. Mei grinned. Its citizens are friendly, and we try to put the past behind us. We like to welcome new shinobi. aka you will have an easier time with them than your own countrymen, and your status won't bother anyone. Before he could reply anything, Meitorumi faked remembering something important. Oh, perhaps I should go back to my bodyguards before they start getting the wrong idea. Maybe could you visit me? I would be happy to speak with a ninja as polite as you again, Naruto Uzumaki. I would gladly oblige, Mizukage-sama, if the Hokage wills it. This way, he would have an excuse to refuse, should he prefer keep his distance. Then let's hope he shall assent for us to meet, she whispered, vanishing with a shunshin. The conversation had been short, but the hidden message couldn't have been clearer. If you ever get sick of Konoha, Kiri will welcome you with open arms. It made sense. Kiri had lost much of its power after the Civil War, and the loss of both the Sanbai and Rokubi. Of course Mei would be looking to recruit a new Jinchuriki. Especially considering it didn't take her long to notice Naruto wasn't appreciated, she would reasonably think he would ponder her offer. And who cared if the ANBU had listened? Superficially, the Hokage couldn't find anything wrong with a fellow diplomat being friendly with their Jinchuriki. I wonder what would happen if I accepted? There would surely be consequences. Naruto snorted, banished these thoughts from his mind, and waited for Hyuga to show up. Chapter 11. The next couple of weeks followed a simple routine. Said routine involved training, kicking Hanabis, but whenever she attempted to take revenge, which was on average once per day for her previous humiliation, and preparing tear gas, and improving his flamethrower. Then the day before the invasion arrived. According to my information, Suna's army will attack from the south, Danzo Shimura explained, examining the map of the hidden leaf with the rest of the people present. Orochimaru will have summons destroy the outer wall, allowing the invasion force to advance unhindered. Meanwhile, agents of there will infiltrate the stadium and cast a genjutsu on the audience, paralyzing them as Gaara transforms into the Shikaku. Naruto, listening to the discussions in silence, briefly wondered why the Mizukage wasn't present, and quickly understood Konoha's higher-ups did not want her to learn of their plans. It made sense, considering she could easily betray them for Suna should she find an advantage. Tsunade and I have already placed the traps, Jiraiya explained, his female teammate nodding. This should take care of the summons. Jiraiya and Tsunade will serve as my bodyguards, Sarutobi explained. Orochimaru and the Kazekage will probably attack me directly. The Hyuga clan as a whole will be present to witness the duel between Hinata and Neji, Hayashi continued. We'll deal with the ninjas infiltrated in the stadium, alongside the Jounin teachers of the participating teams and the ANBU. The rest of us will deal with the attacking force, until Danzo-sama's reinforcements flank it, Shikaku Nara proclaimed, the rest of the clan heads nodding, which leaves only one variable, the Shikaku. Sarutobi glanced at Naruto. Do you think you can beat Gaara before he unleashes it? Or command the Kyuubi to restrain it? Naruto coughed. Hokage-sama, it isn't Gaara that worries me the most. It's Sasori. If Orochimaru is present, his partner won't be far, and he will try to exploit the confusion to capture me. Perhaps interfere with our plans. An S-class ninja of his caliber can alter the result of the entire operation. We can, however, trap him. You suggest we use you as a bait? Hayashi asked. Yes. If I'm with Fusan, he won't resist the temptation. Naruto crossed his arms. If you have the ANBU watching us, but then, who shall take out Gaara? Danzo replied, skeptical. Naruto smiled. There is a fourth Jinchuriki in town, remember? He's pretty weird, but if I asked him to be serious just this once, Gaara will be toast. After another hour of planning and discussions, the war meeting disbanded. Naruto found himself alone with Sarutobi. I have something for you, he said, handing him over to him a familiar potion. The Samsara? Naruto frowned upon recognizing it. Why? My labs finished examining the product, and it is impossible to mass-produce. The cells inside have been identified. Sarutobi inhaled sharply. They belong to an Uzumaki. Sasori? Naruto blurted out, before quickly realizing it was impossible, the man having forsaken his very body. Akatsuki's leader? Possible. Our attempts at reproducing the cell's special abilities failed due to an exceptionally potent, abnormal chakra. We suspect the cells are linked to their source, allowing the donor to influence them from distance. Use of the serum would allow him to control the victim to a degree. Periodic injections are needed, or else your organs start rejecting the foreign cells, with fatal consequences. Since an overdose would also be lethal, this serum is more trouble than it is worth. It's a glorified leash. Naruto frowned. Why give it back to me then? I don't want to use it. I pray you won't have to either. However, sometimes sacrifices have to be made. You have seen my teammate Danzo. He lost an eye and a hand for the leaf. One day, you may have no choice but to use the samsara to save the day. I won't need that. As long as I have a plan, everything will be fine. Naruto locked eyes with his mentor. Old man? Yes? Don't die. You still have to take care of Perry. My grandson is taking care of it, and will adopt it should anything happen to us during the invasion, Sarutobi replied, before allowing himself a small bad joke. Naruto, don't get captured, it would give me too much paperwork. You lazy bastard, the blonde snorted. Bah, you'll bail me out, right? Of course. But don't make a habit of it. The morning of the third stage of the exams, Naruto, walking down the street, picked up a small stone that was laying on the ground, rotated, and threw it at his stalker. Ouch. Hanabi complained. That hurts. If you are so obvious to detect in the field, it's a kunai to the head you'll get next time, Naruto scolded her, before sighing. If I had known you would be so persistent, I would have approached Hinata on another day. It's your fault. You assaulted me. Oh, come on. I simply put my fingers in your butt. Nothing to. He suddenly stopped, upon realizing passerby were staring at him with a shocked expression. Right, now they think I'm a pervert. Wonderful. Look, if you keep pestering me, I'll have to spank you so hard your ass will be red for an entire year. Here you continue with the sexual harassment. Hanabi ground her teeth in rage. You humiliated me. Defiled me. I must regain my honor. Naruto glanced down at the bratty girl. You know, he started, I've got a friend who's a genuine pervert. He showed me a special technique he uses to defeat enemy kunoichi. It's called Jiraiya's heavenly violation of personal space technique. It's as bad as it sounds. If you want to see a true master of sexual harassment, he's your man. He rolled his eyes. As much as throwing stones at you is fun, you're giving me a bad reputation. Could you please stop bothering me? Not until I defeat you. Then come back in 20 years, maybe I'll take you seriously then. It further enraged her, much to his amusement. In the meantime, why don't you go see your sister and cousin duel? When you reach their level, then I'll accept your challenge fair and square. Deal, Hanabi replied, pointing an index at him. You're my rival now. When I've trained enough, I'm the one going to stick my fingers in your private areas. As she left him, Naruto briefly wondered why exactly he was attracting every psycho in the area. If Lee wasn't a crazy enough rival, now I've got that girl, the blonde whined inwardly. Naruto-san, Tsunade Senju is approaching you, Apophis hissed to his ear, hiding under his clothes. The snake's scales were cold, and the contact had been slightly disturbing at first, until Naruto got used to it. The advantage was that the serpent was a powerful partner, and with his superior smell and ability to notice small pulsations in the ground, he could detect any sneak-up attempt on the Uzumaki. Tsunade-heim, Naruto whispered, when the woman landed in front of him, what can I do for you? How did you notice me coming before I appeared? She asked suddenly, having recognized the subtle signs in his body language. No matter. Tenten and Hinata have told me a lot about you. Naruto briefly narrowed his eyes. See? I'm a decent guy. I wouldn't be so certain. I've been informed of the Hanabi incident. The blonde winced. I blame Jiraiya's influence. Anyway, I wanted to learn more about my debtor, and I put the 2 and 2 together later. The Senju crossed her arms. You're Kushina's brat, right? She was my mom, yes, although I never met her, and don't know my dad either, Naruto replied, slightly surprised. You were friends? Yes. I figured, well, when the fighting is over, you might want to talk about her. About your family. Naruto was at loss of words. Isn't Konoha trying to keep me in the dark? I want nothing to do with this political bullshit. The Senju sighed. When this day is over, things will change, believe me. Good luck, boys and girls, Naruto told his fellow Konohanins, as they prepared to leave for the participants' lounge. The first match, Neji vs Hinata, would start within 2 hours. And remember, don't forget to fight as dirty as you can. Nice advice. Tenten grinned at Shikamaru. I will take it to heart. Troublesome woman, the Nara commented. I think I'm going to give up before she beats me to a bloody pulp. Yash, watch out, Naruto-san. Lee gave him the nice guy pose. We're all going to make Chunin in no time. Will you be cheering on me? I mean us? Tenten asked with a sly smile. Of course, Naruto smirked, although inwardly he had the feeling it wouldn't be possible. When this day is over, I promise I'm inviting you all out for a drink. Believe it. The group accepted his offer politely, and left. Neji, however, stayed longer. Nice tanto, he noted, upon noticing the blade Naruto was carrying on his back. You think? He unsheathed the blade. It was a gift from a friend. She said since I had progressed in our lessons, I had earned my own blade. It's shorter than a katana but easier to use. Interesting. Neji scratched his headband, the seal underneath having been secretly removed. Words will never be enough to thank you. I owe you a life debt I'll never be able to repay. You're welcome, Naruto grinned. Start by dragging out the fight with Hinata as much as possible. Make it look like an intense struggle. I informed Hinata beforehand. She will be cooperative. Neji locked eyes with his friend. You are about to do something very stupid. It wasn't a question, but a fact. I'm gonna do something crazy, yes. The Hyuga frowned, weary. Naruto, if you need help, no. Focus on earning your jacket. I've dragged enough people into this mess to do the same with you. He smiled. Everything will be fine. Neji wasn't convinced. When the Hyuga finally left, Jiraiya emerged from his hiding spot. Of course, Apophis had informed the blonde long before he manifested. Good luck, kiddo, he told the blonde. When Orochimaru is toast, I will rush to your aid. Try to survive in the meantime. I will manage. He touched his left forearm. How long will its effect last? Around 9 minutes after activation. Afterward, it will take a full day for it to recharge. Remember, this is a prototype, not the final product, so there may be glitches. The Sannin told him goodbye, before vanishing. Go. Once he was gone, Naruto opened his bag and put on his equipment. Trading his jacket for a black suit full of pockets, reinforced plates of ceramic, and black metal gloves, The blonde then proceeded to check out his hidden weaponry. Once he had finished, he left the stadium. Sasuke and Fu were waiting outside. You seem ready, the first deadpanned, having traded Han's ridiculous shirt for common black clothing. The QB's container was fairly certain he was hiding weapons underneath the ensemble. I've got enough weapons on my person to deal with a small army. Flashbangs, flamethrower in the bag, tear gas, kunai, experimental grenades. Naruto was armed to the teeth. I doubt we'll wait long when the invasion starts. Wanna go to Ichiraku's? He wanted to convince Ayam and Tucci to barricade themselves at home, preserving their life. A few minutes later, the trio sat at the ramen bar, much to Ayam's excitement. How nice of you to have come. Are you going to watch the matches too? She suddenly noticed the Uzumaki's attire. Naruto, why are you wearing that? Because I am the law, Naruto deadpanned with the deepest tone possible. And the law is cool. We're going to the stadium after the meal, Fu added. Where is Tucci-san? He's discussing with a friend behind the restaurant, she explained. They don't want to be bothered. So, how do you see the matches playing out? I do not gamble, Sasuke replied. I do, but unfortunately many of my friends are participating and it would be bad taste, Naruto continued. Gaara is going to win, Fu shrugged. Or rather, the Ichibi would crush the competition if Gaara was pushed too far. Not that it mattered, as the tournament would be interrupted. Hey, Naruto? The blonde locked eyes with Ayam. Would you mind if we were to sit next to each other? You. Naruto struggled to find a way to explain her she would better barricade herself inside her home with her dad. The strange glance she was sending him didn't help either. There is a strange heartbeat nearby, Apophis whispered lowly, only Naruto hearing him. This is... I have no word. Sorry, he's going to sit with me, Fu smirked, giving a light tap to Naruto's back. Correct? Really? Ayam glared at Fu, confusing the blonde. I wouldn't be as certain if I were you. Naruto scratched the back of his neck in genuine confusion, and glanced Sasuke, hoping he would explain. Instead, the Uchiha was giving him a know-it-all smile. Why do I have the feeling he's inwardly laughing at me? I thought you would prefer to sit with Shino, the blonde told Fu. From what I could say, you got along well. He's a nice friend, but you and Han are my best friends, the female Jinchuriki chirped. Hey, Naruto! Tucci's voice interrupted the conversation. Nice to see you. Here, I've someone for you to meet. He's an old friend of mine. Naruto and his two companions absent-mindedly glanced at the newcomer, and paled in dread. He's a bit shy, Tucci explained, unaware of what was happening, but he cooks well. I'm sure he's going to prepare you nice ramen today. Hello, Sasori of the Red Sand greeted the terrified trio with the flattest, most deadpan tone possible. Would you like salt ramen? It is the only kind I have learned to prepare. So, Tsunade? Jiraiya smirked, as the two teammates met before reaching the Hokage. He isn't that bad, is? The Senju slapped him. She didn't use her superhuman strength to do it, considering they would have to fight soon, but the slap was still powerful enough to hurt. How dare you? The Kunoichi hissed. What? He's Kushina's son, you moron, Tsunade snarled. Uzumaki. My grandmother Mito was one. Senju and Uzumaki are cousins, he's a relative of mine. And you let him live alone? You didn't inform me he existed? He was Minato's son and you, I know. Jiraiya locked eyes with her. I've got no excuse, as much as it shames me. I'm not exactly the best parental figure. Better a flawed parental figure than none at all, Tsunade countered. Now I realize why you're so interested in him. You want to catch up on lost time. You're doing wonders at it. Your sarcasm will change nothing. Sensei wanted to give him a normal life, and we realized only too late it wouldn't work. Why didn't you send him to me then? Tsunade clenched her fists. You left the leaf at a critical time in a fit of selfishness. You have no right to criticize my failures when you are just as irresponsible as I am. The Senju princess felt as if she had been slapped. Don't you dare. Yes, Nawaki and Dan were great people and I would have willingly died in their places so you could have had a happy life with them. They died to protect the leaf, and I have seen you spit on their sacrifice by abandoning the village without saying a word. But no more. Jiraiya's tone was cold and flat. You were the best medic in the elemental nations. Do you know the number of people who die in our hospital each year because the one kunoichi who could have saved them spent her time drinking and gambling? Yes, you have suffered, but everyone in this damned city has lost a loved one. You acted as if you were the center of the world and whined as if only your problems mattered. Tsunade was astonished by the response, and couldn't find the words to reply. Jiraiya continued his verbal assault. As if sensei would give our only Jinchuriki to a woman who would have been labeled a missing nin in any other country, and has as many psychological issues as Kakashi. If you had felt an ounce of responsibility, you would have returned to help the wounded of the Kyuubi's rampage. The fact I had to blackmail you to help defend the thousands living in this town did nothing to change my opinion of you. The Senju narrowed her eyes. You don't love me anymore, is that it? I never stopped. But it doesn't mean I'm blind to your flaws. Jiraiya inhaled sharply and turned into an ANBU with a henge. I want to turn a new leaf, so to speak. To restart from scratch, to atone for my mistakes. One is called Orochimaru and is waiting for correction right now. Yes, Tsunade replied bitterly, disguising herself as well. We'll work out our differences once he's gone. As he observed the match, Gaara became progressively convinced his father's plan had been discovered. It wasn't a suspicion. The match between the Hyuga was staged. Their movements seemed fluid and professional, but Gaara wasn't a normal ninja. He could feel killing intent, he could sense if one wanted to harm another. It was a sixth sense he developed after surviving countless assassination attempts. These two were doing their best to drag their fight as long as possible. At this rate, the invasion force would reach the walls before the Ichibi's vessel had the chance to transform. Having stalked Naruto Uzumaki and Fu for days, Gaara had seen the two Hyuga with the blonde Jinchuriki. It didn't take him long to guess it was a trap. Naruto Uzumaki is aware of father's plans, he deduced. He wants to take me out before I can release the Shikaku. If so, I accept the challenge. Joining his fingers, Gaara vanished in a cloud of sand. He reappeared in the middle of the arena, much to everyone's astonishment. The two Hyuga stopped fighting, and the proctor approached, with a hint of fear in the voice. Sabaku, back down or you'll be disqual. With a thought, Gaara ordered his sand to crush the man's head into a bloody pulp. The crowd shrieked in horror at the spectacle. The crazy Jinchuriki cracked his neck. Uzumaki, show yourself. I am waiting. A red ninja kicked his face so hard Gaara crashed into the opposite end of the arena. If his sand armor hadn't shielded him, he would have been killed instantly. Rising back to his feet, the redhead observed his attacker. Back off, his life belongs to the Han, the ninja told the Hyuga, who vanished with a shunshin. The newcomer was a giant in red armor, his body releasing a shroud of steam around his limbs. Now it's just you, and the most marvelous shinobi in the world. Where is Uzumaki? Gaara shrieked, his sand swirling around him. Mother was craving for blood, and she would not be denied. Where is he? Sorry, Foxy was occupied, so he sent the most awesome warrior ever as replacement. The giant charged. Prepared to become the Han's punching bag. The second Gaara entered the arena, the Yondaime Kazekage attempted to kill Sarutobi with a kunai. The old man dodged it, his two ANBU bodyguards and the Mizukage instantly reacting. The treacherous leader of Tsunade jumped on the roof, followed by the four ninjas. The Kazekage's bodyguards activated a barrier ninjutsu, trapping the four S-rank ninjas inside a square-like formation. Walls of purple energy manifested out of thin air, preventing the ninjas outside it from interrupting the battle. Sarutobi-sensei. Orochimaru hissed wickedly, upon removing his Kazekage's mask. His expression was twisted into a vicious sneer. Always so tricky. I see you prepared an old family reunion. How long has it been, Jiraiya Tsunade? The Hokage adopted a serious expression, his two students dropping their ANBU disguise. It has been a while, Jiraiya noted with venom in his voice. Still the falsely polite prick, eh? You disposed of the Kazekage? A puppet having served its purpose is trash, Orochimaru sneered. Trash deserves only fire. I hope not to meet you again for the rest of my life, but I guess when this day is over I won't have to see your face any longer, Tsunade whispered. Ah yes, I miss your rudeness, princess. Orochimaru glanced at Meiturumi. Sorry to have dragged you into this, Mizukage-san. Since we have no quarrel, I would suggest you're to stay out of this. Akatsuki ravaged my home for a decade, so I have a quarrel with you. The lady glanced at Sarutobi. I would like to keep him alive, if possible. I need to interrogate him. I can't promise anything. Sarutobi prepared a fire technique. Jiraiya? Yep. Instantly, Jiraiya projected a stream of oil toward Orochimaru, the Hokage combining it with a fireball. Orochimaru was engulfed into a deadly inferno, yet made no effort to dodge. When the dust and smoke settled, Orochimaru's opponents discovered two coffins of earth had shielded the rogue Sannin from the blast. They opened, revealing their occupants, two warrior clad in traditional Senju armors. Two former Hokage. Tsunade blanched. G-grandfather? Granduncle? Edo Tensei, Orochimaru smirked, the Shodai and Nidaime protecting him. It's only fair play, you're 4 against 1. I have to even the field a little. I was aware you had lost whatever morals you'd left, Orochimaru, but I would have never imagined you could sink so low, Jiraiya whispered. He must be stopped here, Sarutobi told the rest of his group. If he is allowed to flee with this technique, he would be unstoppable. Do you agree, Tsunadeheim? Orochimaru smirked viciously. If I can bring your relative back from the dead, I could easily do the same for Dan and Nawaki. Interested? Tsunade spat on the ground. And sacrifice someone for it? Nawaki and Dan would never forgive me if I were to sink to your level. Too bad then. Hashirama, Tobirama, please kill her. The mindless automatons charged silently, their movements betraying not a hint of hesitation. Jiraiya, Tsunade, take these 2 down, Sarutobi ordered, preparing a new jutsu without wasting any breath. Mizukage Dano, would you mind teaming up against my old student? I would have preferred someone younger. Mei sighed, readying herself. I guess beggars can't be choosers. As he walked inside Root's hideout, Danzo Shimura smelled the scent of fresh blood. The walls were covered with it. As he progressed deeper into the complex, finding no corpse, Danzo continued walking, until he reached a large, black hall. A man was present, surrounded by his victims. You're late, Madara whispered, as he finished absorbing dead bodies into his Sharingan. I've been waiting for you far too long. Have you grown slow in your old age? Danzo tightened the grip on his cane. So you finally made your move. There won't be reinforcements today. Your comrades will have to survive on their own. The masked man shrugged, glancing at the Root leader. For an elite group of underground assassins, your agents were surprisingly easy to deal with. Then again, the true power of the Sharingan is mine to command. The 2,000 troops supposed to help the main force had been crushed by a single man? Impossible. You brought backup with you, Danzo guessed. Itachi has another target, the masked man snorted. As for you, where did you put the forbidden scroll, you dog? I want an answer before I kill you, in a place you'll never find. Danzo approached. If we are to fight, can you tell me what game are you playing? Why help me at all? Why are you seeking Edo Tensei? I need Edo Tensei because there are a few dead people to which I need to apologize. Madara shrugged his shoulders. As for why I helped you, have you any idea just how powerful pain is? Danzo clenched his jaw. He had seen for himself what the Rinnegan's wielder could do when threatened. Yet, Madara continued, he does nothing. He meditates, studies a civilization long dead, when he could have crushed the leaf and captured the tailed beasts as we speak. I knew of your common history, and I figured if I stressed the threat you presented, I might kick him out of his comfort zone and subtly push him into action. Root's leader let go of his cane. So I was nothing more than a way to motivate pain, and I failed. You have outlived your usefulness, and I hate useless pawns, Madara intoned in a threatening manner, warping space itself. Time for you to sleep, forever. I will not be so easy to kill, Danzo replied, releasing the seals on his hidden arm. The Uchiha took a step back, as the Konohanin revealed the Sharingan implanted on it, before getting rid of the bandages around his head. My roots run deep. This eye, do you have any idea of its power? Madara chuckled. But you can't use it, can you? No matter how hard you try, you cannot master the power of Shusui's Sharingan. I don't need to. The old man started making hand seals. For the sake of Konoha, I will put an end to your life here and now. When Gaara started attacking the proctor, Tenten's first reaction was to move and help Hinata. Shikamaru prevented her from doing so, pointing an index at Han. He's taking care of him, the Nara said before glancing at the stairs. We have a more pressing problem. Tenten blinked. The stands had quickly turned into a battleground opposing Konoha's ninjas and Tsunanins against each other. Finally, one of the genin from Kiri grinned wickedly. The bloodshed can start. What's happening? Lee asked him waringly. You haven't been informed? Suigetsu Hozuki chuckled. Your town is under attack. Don't worry, we're with you. He glanced at his teammate. Hey, Chojuro, time to slice stuff in two. Why yes. The boy meekly nodded, as the two Kirinin vanished via Shunshin. Grabbing both Lee and Shikamaru, Tenten quickly joined her Jounin sensei in the stands. Meitoga was occupied pummeling a Tsunanin to death when he noticed the trio. Tenten Lee, with me, he ordered, his voice turning authoritarian. Shikamaru-kun, you will join us, Suma-san and the rest of your team. Evacuate the civilians first, then join the fray. Understood, the Nara whispered, immediately leaving. Neji and Hinata reached Team Guy. What is happening? The two asked in perfect unison, an event that caused Tenten to briefly chuckle. We are being invaded. Someone was supposed to cast a genjutsu on the audience, but I suppose Gaara's actions caught him off guard. We will defeat any Tsunanin we run across, understood? Funny, I intended to do the same with Konohanins, a civilian shot back, getting rid of his clothes to reveal a gray uniform, and a headband with a sound note symbol. He was carrying a syringe, injecting the product into his veins. For Orochimaru-sama, much to Tenten's horror, the man started to grow horns. I present you Sasori-san, I am began. He's quite shy, but, I am Itachi. Both civilians glanced at Naruto, surprised by his cold, serious tone. Go back home. Barricade yourself. Don't open the door until the explosions are over. Leave. Now, what Itachi put his hand on Ayam's shoulder, interrupting her. The young woman noticed the glares the four shinobi exchanged. Understanding a fight was about to break out, she left, after sending one last glance at her friend. Do not worry, I simply want to talk, Sasori whispered with absolute nonchalance. Naruto had to admit, if he wasn't aware of the man's identity, he would have mistaken him for a random traveler. But his brown robes weren't made for travel, only to hide the inhuman body underneath. We have 1 hour left before the Operation Konoha crash starts and destroys this cursed city. If you don't like the unoriginal name, blame Orochimaru. I would have preferred Operation Kill Everyone with a leaf headband, but you know my partner. Naruto tightened his fists, putting 2 and 2 together. You were observing me through Itachi all along? Yes. Although neither his daughter nor Itachi himself are aware of his purpose. Sasori shrugged, continuing to prepare the salt ramen as if they were having a good time. Through special seals implanted in the brain, I can implant hypnotic suggestions into the mind of an individual. To put it simply, I can make my thralls do anything, without them being aware of it. The best strings are the invisible ones. He placed the bowls before the group, who of course refused to eat. A quarter of the restaurant managers, barmen, and prostitutes in this city work for me, directly or through proxies. Most ninjas, when having a good time, drop information they would never reveal elsewhere. When Itachi created his ramen bar, it was at my command. He quickly attracted a clientele among shinobi, then transferred any useful piece of information back to me, all without being aware of his role as deep cover spy. When you started frequenting this establishment, I couldn't believe in my luck. Naruto suddenly felt like the biggest moron in the elemental nations. I brought nearly all my friends there at least once, he realized in horror. This is how he knew who to target. Yes. Your cooperation was most appreciated. The redhead smiled mockingly. A ramen bar has another use. It can be used to smuggle goods inside the city. Like incendiary bombs or the samsara serum, to fuel a war inside the walls. Fu's eyes widened. You smuggled weapons inside the city's walls? I have been planning the destruction of the Hidden Leaf ever since it survived the Third Shinobi War. This invasion is simply the culmination of a decade of efforts. Granted, Orochimaru helped me a lot. Sasori started washing the dishes. I spent years destroying the counterintelligence department from within. After a time, I could work relatively unhindered. I told you I had agents in many businesses. They identified people with grudges against the Leaf, and contacted them. You would be surprised how many civilians and minor shinobi resent the current status quo. Why should they pay exorbitant taxes to a useless daimyo, simply because his great ancestor happened to be a warrior? Why should they let the clans monopolize the important posts? Why should they live in fear of superpowered killers who could go crazy any time due to improper psychological care? Naruto had asked himself these questions more than once, and it troubled him. Many people do not act on these thoughts because they fear reprisals. Because they do not have the power of trained shinobi. He shuddered. But if they were to receive this power, you grasped the situation quickly. By promising everyone the samsara's power, physical enhancements, and great societal changes, it was child's play to turn these disgruntled individuals into closet rebels. In fact, most of Orochimaru's subordinates are former farmers and orphans he made such promises to. Since it was too late to warn anyone, Naruto started focusing on his surroundings. He quickly located Hyuga and Kakashi, wearing their ANBU masks and uniforms, watching the scene from atop a roof. Kat nodded at the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, silently telling him they were ready to attack any time. Sasori spotted the duo as well, and waved at them cheerfully. They won't save you, he warned the trio with absolute serenity, as the two ANBU winced. We'll save ourselves, Sasuke replied, glaring at the puppeteer venomously. You owe me 2 deaths. I had nothing against your teammates, they were simply in the way. Sasori exhaled sharply. Why do you care? They were mere grunts without any special ability or blood bond to you. The Uchiha clenched his fists. 5 years ago, I promised myself I wouldn't see any person close to me die, ever again. No one hurts my comrades and get away with it. You shouldn't make promises you cannot keep. Sasori shrugged. No matter, Sasori. Naruto interlaced his fingers. Why are you there? Obviously, you thought we would stop at Ichiraku's. While it may have been easy for you to enter the town undetected, with all the foreign dignitaries present to watch the tournament, it would have been wiser to stay under the radar until the invasion throws the leaf into chaos. What do you want? The redhead gave him a strange glance. Is it so astonishing, he began, that I would try to convince a relative to see reason one last time? The admission actually stopped Naruto's heartbeat briefly. Could this man truly care? Or was it an attempt at manipulation? You can deny it all you want, this is true. Could Sasori read minds? All I wish is to witness the rebirth of the Uzumaki clan. It would be such a wonderful event. You, me, Leader-sama, we are exceptional. The masses fear you because they can understand what potential sleeps in you, in your belly, in your bones. I do not understand why you crave their affection. They did nothing for you. Akatsuki can turn you into one of the greatest ninja the world has ever seen. Why stay loyal to the leaf? I am not loyal to the leaf. The rest of the ninjas present glanced at him in genuine surprise. Since we are being honest people, Sasori, let me ask you a question. Why did you fight for Suna? And why did you abandon it next? I fought for Suna because my parents were loyal shinobi. Before the leaf took them away from me, the puppeteer admitted, genuine sadness in his voice. Afterward, I did not have any bonds left to that place, besides my grandmother. Only my ambitions and revenge remained. Since I couldn't fulfill either goal in the hidden sand, I defected. Then we are more alike than I thought. Naruto took a deep breath. I don't fight for the leaf. I fight for my ambition, and the happiness of my loved ones. I have no love for the leaf as a whole. Being a Konohanin is my job, point. I do not believe in the will of fire. I believe in my own will alone. But unlike you, there are people I care for still living in this city. I have bonds binding me to the leaf. The blonde cracked his neck. I do not oppose you because the leaf does. I want to stop you because Akatsuki threatens the lives of my loved ones and countless innocents. Because you led Anko to her death. If I did not have these bonds, I guess I could have followed the same path as you. Sasori and Naruto were a reflection of the other. They were both orphans and the remaining members of the Uzumaki clan. Both had been mentored by a grandparent figure. Both aimed to become the best in their field. With a little difference, their positions could have very well been reversed. You can create new bonds elsewhere. I wasn't 20 when I met Leader-sama. He would love to see us together. He can allow you to fulfill your ambitions. Sasori snorted. What if your friends were to become obstacles on your way to greatness? One can't reach the top without cutting a few strings. There shall be a time when former friends turn out to be a burden, and new ones will help you fulfill your dream. I won't join you or Akatsuki. I won't work alongside people like Orochimaru. I will forge my own path. Sasori decided to try convincing the blonde's teammates. The offer is the same for you. Akatsuki can give you the power you desire, or anything you wish for. You can sugarcoat it as much as you wish. Redhead, the truth is, if I join you, I will become a weapon for Akatsuki to use. I enjoy my freedom, thanks. Fu bit her lips. How long will it take before you extract the nanabi and kill me, once I outlive my usefulness? I refuse. The power I will gain, I will earn it. I won't have others give it to me. I won't be anyone's tool. Sasuke activated his Sharingan. I won't sink to his level. Explosions started resonating around them, coming from nearby streets and the town's outskirts. None of the ninjas present made any movement, continuing their discussion. The summoners loyal to the leaf placed summoning arrays nearby, Sasori guessed. Smart, giant summons will help your fellows deal with the invasion force. Unfortunately, they won't help fight the traitors inside the walls, nor will they be able to fight the soldiers Orochimaru brought back with Edo Tensei. Edo Tensei? Fu asked, genuinely confused. The puppeteer ignored the question. Sasori, it's not too late. It's never too late. Naruto seized his Tanto's pommel. You can back down and walk away, letting our dead relatives remain unavenged? The leaf, no, the entire shinobi world deserves to be purged. It is a corrupt system built on suffering and mediocrity. I will not suffer seeing the destroyers of our family prosper when we have lost our very past to them. Sasori locked eyes with his cousin. Your father killed your mother. He ripped the kyubi from her and sealed it in you. for Konoha. The statement caused Naruto to startle. It was the Yondaime who he paused. Sasuke's eyes widened. He glanced at the Yondaime's head on the Hokage monument, then back at Naruto. What? It was impossible, Sasori couldn't imply. It makes no sense. Really? Have you never wondered why the Sandaime Hokage refused to tell you about your father? Why your mother lost her tailed beast? The puppeteer snorted. Minato Namikaze, Yondaime Hokage of Konoha, was your biological father. You were born as Gaara was, a weapon of war he could train from birth to be loyal to the leaf. The Yondaime would never. Naruto ground his teeth. You're lying, Naruto. Jinchuriki are chosen among the relatives of the village's leader, Fu whispered sadly. This way, their loyalty can be secured, most of the time. Namikaze wanted a weapon, so when you were born, he attempted to rip the Kyuubi from Kushina and seal it inside you, Sasori explained coolly, the perfect Jinchuriki, tamed from birth, perfect to hold the fox. But the ritual backfired, and the Kyuubi rampaged, killing your mother and forcing the Yondaime to sacrifice himself trying to seal it inside you. That's a lie. Naruto ground his teeth in rage. This is a complete, utter lie. Do you have another explanation? This is the most logical conclusion I reached, with the information I managed to gather. Sasori rolled his eyes. Whatever the truth is, the consequences are the same. The leaf lied to you. Manipulated you. Spat on the Yondaime's grave. For all their talk about putting the village first, they were surprisingly quick to betray Namikaze's legacy. They treated you like an outcast, when they should have revered you, cared for you. Jiraiya, especially, since he was your godfather. Naruto's jaw dropped. What? Jiraiya was Minato Namikaze's teacher, and he was chosen as your godfather before you were born. Then he abandoned you. The ground trembled, a bomb destroying a house nearby. Kakashi Hatake isn't any better. He was your father's student, and he didn't lift a finger to help you when you were a kid. Tell me, why are the people inside these walls worth protecting? None of them are truly your friends. Naruto struggled to find an answer. If this was the truth, why struggle indeed? I am his friend. Sasuke's Sharingan locked with Naruto's blue eyes. His father could be the Yondaime, the Sandaime, or Orochimaru for all I care. He's Naruto Uzumaki, the ninja who never gives up, and my friend. The leaf may hate him, but I surely don't. Yep. Naruto doesn't need a godfather, Fu smirked. He has us, guys, thanks. I'm going to beat you, Naruto declared boldly to Sasori, then, I will confirm if what you say is true or not. Finally, I will decide what to do with the truth. Sasori smirked viciously. I am afraid to crush your hopes. You see, I am tougher than all of you put together. Instantly, green wings materialized from Fu's back. She grabbed both her teammates by the collar and escaped, while Sasori calmly watched Kakashi throw a fireball at him from his roof. The Ichirakus exploded in smoke and debris. Are you alright? Hyuga asked the trio, as they landed next to the Anbu duo. Naruto wasn't fast enough to answer. A blast of air almost caused him to fall to his knees. A cloud of smoke filled the street, as a giant creature materialized on the ramen stand's former spot. It was a red scorpion the size of a building. You thought you were the only Uzumaki with a contract? Sasori said from atop his summon's head. Shall we begin? Naruto snorted. Bring it. Chapter 12. It took Gaara 5 seconds and a fist breaking his nose to realize he was in serious danger. The man in front of him was both faster and stronger than the redhead. He was surrounded by steam, moved faster than Baki, and could hit with the power of an enraged bull. His arm raised, the red giant charged forward. Summoning a cloud of sand, Gaara attempted to crush the man's legs from underneath, only for the giant to leap gracefully, crossing the distance between the two ninjas, and kick the Sannin's stomach. The sheer might of the strike propelled the redhead to the other side of the arena, crashing against a tree. Quickly returning to his senses, Gaara summoned a platform of sand under himself, and used it to dodge a new charge by floating above the stadium. He doesn't appear to have long-range techniques, the young ninja noted. If so, sand blades, Gaara whispered, shaping hundreds of swords out of refined sand and launching them at his opponent, as a deadly rain of projectiles. Moving faster than the wind, Han skillfully dodged the onslaught, started running up the arena's walls, and used a burst of steam to propel himself through the air. 2 seconds later, his hand went through Gaara's automatic defense, the sand armor, grabbed the redhead's face, and threw him towards the ground below. A cushion of sand automatically reduced the shock and prevented the fall from killing the Ichibi's vessel outright. As he saw the red giant descend upon him like a meteor, Gaara started panicking. The Han's blazing kick of doom. The crazy ninja shouted happily. Sandstorm. A tornado of sand surrounded Gaara, shielding him from the Han's view. When the red giant landed, it was on the arena's soil instead of Gaara's face, and he found himself trapped in a thick sandstorm. Unable to see clearly, the former Iwanin protected his eyes and listened. The Han didn't think you would be such a coward, he taunted Gaara, hoping to draw him out of hiding. Come and get your ass kicked. A beastly roar answered his taunt. A creature slightly bigger than him, looking like a one-tailed tanuki, emerged from the tempest, maw wide open. I will not let you destroy me, it declared with Gaara's voice. I won't let you end my exes. The Han's godly slap. The giant replied unimpressed, as he slapped the demonic tanuki with enough strength to break 2 of its fangs. The Han is not going to destroy you. The Han is going to annihilate you to the point all that will remain of you shall be memories. Others people memories. The Han forgets losers quickly. Sanshurik Han interrupted the attack by punching the beast's jaw. The creature attempted to fight back with its tail, only for it to be absent-mindedly deflected by a kick. The giant started beating the crap out of Gaara, easily tossing the monster to the ground. Let's play human ball, Han whispered, gathering all his strength and a good chunk of his chakra reserves in his leg and kicking Gaara while he was still down. The Jinchuriki was propelled upward, flew above the stadium, and landed in the forest outside Konoha. Using his steam to fly above the city, Han quickly found the tanuki. He was getting bigger. Han soon found himself staring at the fully manifested Shikaku, the creature easily the size of a building. The unconscious Gaara was sleeping on the top of its head, having allowed the beast to take over. You little piece of shit! Shikaku roared maniacally, glaring at Han. This is gonna suck for you, Han shrugged, and flew in the creature's direction. Take this. Shikaku started firing bullets of air with astonishing accuracy. One of the blasts barely missed Han, and went on to destroy a large chunk of the forest. Han narrowed his eyes, making hand seals midair. This was going to take most of his chakra reserves, but it would show Gaara which of them was the boss. Steam screen. Han's body started producing an incredible quantity of steam, enough to create a large cloud around him. It prevented Shikaku from seeing clearly. Come on, get out here! The Ichibi snarled, as the steam cloud closed up. He would probably target the unconscious Gaara, but the Shikaku wouldn't let him get close. I want to see your bloody face when you die. It was indeed a face that came out of the cloud first. A dolphin's head, with 5 horns of varying length. The creature was slightly bigger than Shikaku itself, a white horse the size of buildings. Its 5 tails waved with majesty, and the Ichibi winced. Oh sure, this is for calling me my little pony in front of Dad, you asshole raccoon. Koko, the 5-tailed beast, headbutted Shikaku's stomach with its horns, knocking Shikaku on its back. Then the giant horse jumped above the tanuki. And this is because you're ugly. Wait, please don't do. 5 mountain jump. The gobi's hoof smashed Shikaku's head so strongly the shockwave blasted the Ichibi's body and a good chunk of the forest around them into dust. When it was over, the gobi dematerialized, allowing Han to regain control and land on the ground safely. It felt wonderful, the horse mentally told its host. Can we do it again? Please, later, Han replied, before glancing at the Shikaku's remains. The Han warned you his punching bag you would be. Yeah, well, do the victory ritual and let's go help your pals. I'm pretty sure this energy surge I sense comes from Chome. Han quickly found what he sought, the defeated Gaara, laying stunned in his own sand. Say uncle, Han ordered, grabbing the redhead by the collar. Say uncle, bitch. You, uncle. The Han dominated you, the giant boasted, claiming Gaara's forehead protector as his own, and that's his trophy. He put the defeated boy on his shoulder, turned around, and prepared to go back to Konoha and let the town marvel in his wonderfulness. 2 people were observing him. You know, Itachi, Kisame Hokage, shirtless and wielding Samahata, grinned at his partner. I think next time I defeat you in a spar. If you do that, Itachi Uchiha replied, his only facial expression being in a deadpan frown, I won't ever speak to you again. It wouldn't change much, Kisame deadpanned, glancing at Han next. You recognize us? The Han would say you're a shark and a crow on a walk, Han replied. Could you please step out of the Han's way? They didn't. Well, suck to be you. Han threw Gaara at the 2 ninjas. Itachi, his Sharingan activated, easily dodged the surprise attack, but the slower Kisame was forced to deflect the improvised projectile with his hand. Exploiting the opening and realizing he would be easier to take out than his partner, the Gobi's vessel charged at Hashigake. The swordsman attempted a horizontal strike, which Han avoided by lowering himself. Extending his arm, the giant had it hit Kisame's stomach. The Han's one-man lariat. He shouted upon knocking down his opponent. Such strike would usually kill an opponent in one move. In fact, the man who taught it to Han in the first place, a crazy rapper from the land of lightning, pretended he snapped a man's spine with it. Kisame was barely hurt, much to the Gobi's chagrin. We're all gonna die. He's a shark, I'm a dolphin, I'm lower in the food chain. I don't wish to hurt you, Itachi whispered, launching a volley of shuriken aimed at Han's eyes. The Gobi's vessel was forced to leap away to avoid getting blinded. Surrender and I promise we will not harm you. Sorry, the Han learned never to trust people who kill their own family for the hell of it, the giant replied, closing the gap between himself and the Uchiha. If the man stayed at distance, and if his frail appearance was to be trusted, he could dodge blows, but he couldn't survive them. Fire stream technique, Itachi whispered, his hands moving faster than the eyes could follow. Like a dragon, he breathed a long cone of fire at his opponent. Gathering steam around his body as an improvised protection, Han kept charging through the fire, endured the heat, and attempted to punch the Uchiha's face. Itachi gracefully dodged the first punch, and realized Han's second hand aimed at something else. The Han's brutal manhood castration fist. Itachi, suddenly very afraid, activated the Mangekyo. An ethereal but very real giant fist hit Han's face, propelling him a few meters away from the Uchiha. As he landed to his feet, the giant looked up, and up. Itachi was surrounded by a colossal, colored armor of solid chakra. Its shape was vaguely humanoid, with strong arms, a head, and the allure of a knight. Itachi was standing inside the chest plate, glaring at the former Iwanin with genuine rage. Wow, you're compensating for something, right? At Itachi's expression, Han understood he should have kept his mouth shut. The ethereal warrior's fist moved faster than the wind, smashing the spot where Han used to stand. Reacting faster, the Gobi's vessel managed to dodge, pondering his actions. Run like hell, the Gobi immediately suggested. I've already used a good chunk of our chakra with the 5-mountain jump. I need a few minutes to get it back, so put as much distances between them and you, rest a little, and come back for round 2 later. He's too fast, Han noted, struggling to escape Itachi's attempts at crushing him. Can you give the Han enough chakra to go one tail? You're going to get us killed, the Gobi complained, although he agreed to Han's suggestion. A cloak of thick white chakra surrounded the red warrior's body, creating an artificial tail behind the former Iwanin's back. His speed and strength enhanced, Han circled around Itachi, stopping when he had the mass murderer's back in sight. Before the Uchiha could rotate, the red giant tackled his strange chakra armor with his shoulder. The blow failed to destroy Itachi's protection, but the shockwave threw him to the ground. Wasting no time, Han repeatedly punched Itachi's ethereal armored plate, quickly cracking it open. Raising his 2 hands and joining them, the giant prepared to smash through the chakra armor and shatter the Uchiha's skull in one strike. Then he was stripped of the Gobi's chakra. Han actually blinked in surprise at this new development, a mistake that cost him the fight. Samahata hit his red armor with enough power to snap a tree in 2. The metal endured the hit, but Han was tossed aside. Itachi, with me. Kisame made hand seals, his partner imitating his motions. Water style, shark bomb jutsu. Han raised his eyes, and faced 24 shark-shaped water projectiles as they prepared to land on his face. The resulting explosion was deafening, water flowing enough to fill a pool. When the assault was over, Han laid in the water, knocked out. Wow, 2 more seconds and he would have broken past the Susanoo. Kisame noted, unable to resist the urge to mock his partner. It takes balls. Kisame, if you ever speak of this event to anyone, I will kill you, the Uchiha promised ominously, glancing at the unconscious Jinchuriki. Let's get these 2 and continue with Sasori-san's plan. Right. It took Toby 20 seconds to kill Danzo. He had attempted to kill the masked man with a blade of wind, only for the Uchiha to teleport behind the root leader and pierce his skull with a kunai. The man collapsed, blood flowing from his injury. That was anticlimactic, the Uchiha noted, kicking the corpse to see if he was playing possum. Strange. I expected more. When the body vanished into thin air, only Toby's instinctive activation of his intangibility saved his brain, as a kunai phased through his skull. Teleporting to the other side of the room, the masked Uchiha found himself staring at a very much alive Danzo Shimura. The hell? Danzo replied by firing a volley of miniature bullets of air at his opponent. Toby reacted instantly by countering them with fireballs. In doing so, he noticed one of the Sharingan implanted on the man's arm had gone blind. Putting 2 and 2 together, Toby smirked behind his mask. Izanaji, the most forbidden kinjutsu in the history of the Uchiha clan, he mused, Danzo closing the gap between them, blades of wind forming around his arms. Why? Because overuse of it weakens the individual's grip on reality, resulting in madness. All of that to surpass Sarutobi? You can't stand being second best, can you? If I can kill you here, Konoha will be safer, Danzo replied, ignoring his opponent's taunting and attempting to find a flaw in the man's intangibility. No price is too high for that. You think you can save anyone, Danzo? You are not a hero. You're just a walking corpse. Toby vanished, replaced with 100 explosive tags. They instantly vaporized Danzo. Why don't you do like all old men and die, sacrificing another Izanaji to escape death? Danzo was quickly grabbed by the throat by the masked Uchiha. Alright, I tire of playing with ruins, the masked man mocked, his Sharingan absorbing the air around him. Time to vanish in the void. Reacting quickly before he could be absorbed, Danzo shoved an explosive kunai in the hole in space. Realizing the danger, Madara interrupted his technique and backed down. Unlike Danzo, he survived the explosion, although he was thrown across the room by the blast. Just as I thought, you are forced to materialize to activate your absorbing technique, Danzo noted, once more cheating death. You cannot stay intangible and open the gate to whatever place you drag your victims to at the same time, Madara groaned, getting up. His broken mask, damaged, fell to the ground, revealing the face underneath. It wasn't Madara Uchiha. Danzo didn't bother to hide his surprise upon identifying his nemesis. You should be dead, he noted flatly, before being blasted apart by a volley of powerful fireballs. Sorry, being buried alive does not count as certain death, the unmasked Uchiha deadpanned, attempting to kill Danzo the second he appeared back. Although I had to undergo a little plastic surgery to be presentable. The boulders did ruin my face. As you can see, beauticians did wonders with this face. This face, it was the grown-up version of a Uchiha that died in a mission, for the sake of the leaf. An untalented boy who graduated as the dropout of his class, and as such was put in the same team as the genius Kakashi Hatake. Even if apprenticed to Minato Namikaze, the boy hadn't shown any particular aptitude. Danzo would have forgotten him, if he hadn't sacrificed his life to ensure the success of a capital mission during the Third Shinobi War. For such sacrifice, his name had been written on Konoha's memorial, and Shimura had considered him a hero. Obito Uchiha had changed for the worst. He had grown into a handsome man, with a pretty face and a happy smile. His left eye, extracted by Rin Naora, had been replaced with a two-toed Sharingan, much different from the right one. All in all, he could be mistaken for a charmer, if it were not the fact he oozed with malevolence and killing intent. I am certain there is an interesting story behind your survival, Obito Uchiha, Danzo noted, firing a powerful, rock-shattering gust at his opponent. Why are you doing this, harming Konoha? Obito asked flatly, stopping Danzo's counterattack with a wall of flames. Uchiha Flame Battle Encampment, you died a hero, and you rise from the grave as one of the Leaf's greatest foes, Danzo replied, trying to navigate around the barrier and exploit an opening. Is it because of Rin Naora? Please, you think I tried to take over the world for a childhood crush? I'm not that petty, Shimura-kun. Obito teleported right in front of Danzo, gutting him with a kunai. To be honest, I just don't give a shit about her and Kakashi anymore. I should rejoice he is not there to see how far his role model has fallen, Danzo replied, materializing right in front of the Uchiha. This time, the Akatsuki member didn't turn intangible fast enough. Rasengan. With his right hand, Danzo smashed a sphere of chakra on Obito's chest. The powerful aftershock propelled the Uchiha against the wall, although he seemed more angered than harmed. My own teacher's technique, Obito snarled, dodging a bullet of wind. Minato-sensei used it too, the night of the Kyuubi's attack, after I interrupted the suppression of the Kyuubi. Almost got me too. On anyone else, the attempt at psychological warfare might have resulted in slipping up, but Danzo knew better than leave an opening. Instead, Danzo analyzed the battle's development. The fact he took my Rasengan and dodged instead of teleporting means he is economizing his space-time ninjutsu, the old man guessed. It makes sense. It must be extremely difficult, and after fighting my men he must be low on chakra. Obito apparently read his mind, for he smirked wickedly. Our fighting styles aren't this different, which means it falls on endurance. Either you run out of Sharingan to save yourself, or I run out of chakra to dodge your strikes. The one who lasts the longest wins. So you indeed released the Kyuubi on Konoha, Danzo whispered. I was right in the end, it was an Uchiha who did it. I just got the wrong ones. I regret having pushed for their destruction. I laughed really hard when you ordered Itachi to destroy his own clan, the Akatsuki member gloated. I mean, come on, you destroyed mentally and physically every Uchiha except the right one. Although I helped you a little, of course. The only mystery is, why? Danzo asked. Why did you release the Kyuubi? Technically, I didn't break the seal. I simply interrupted Minato-sensei's attempts at reinforcing it when his boy was born. Without his intervention, the seal weakened enough for the Kyuubi to crawl out of Kushina's belly on its own. Obito snorted, firing a stream of fire at the root leader. The Kyuubi's rampage was a complete accident. Honest, as he dodged, Danzo listened closely to what the madman had to say. I had come to kill Sensei's boy in revenge for leaving me under rocks, but when he managed to save the brat, I settled on the wife. Unfortunately, the Kyuubi had already broken its shackles, and all I could do was watching the resulting arson and mass destruction. Bah, at least the fox killed Minato and Kushina before being sealed. You caused the death of thousands over a petty grudge? Danzo snarled, showing genuine anger for the first time in the battle. Do you have any idea how much it cost us all? I don't care, he replied bluntly, closing up to Danzo. I've left my conscience under the boulders, literally. I feel no remorse for what I do anymore, for I am a true shinobi. You should take a few notes, fool. Danzo attempted to kick Obito, only to end up passing through him. A true shinobi mustn't feel emotion, true, but he must still have a conscience, for his loyalty is what differentiates him from the rabble. You are the one to talk, the Uchiha mocked, incinerating the man with a well-placed fireball. He coughed briefly, slightly tired. I know everything, Danzo. About how you covered up Orochimaru's experiments for your own use. How you plotted with Hanzo and accidentally created pain. How you set up Kabuto Yakushi and his mother to kill each other. How you plotted to extract the Kyuubi from Naruto Uzumaki in clear violation of the Sandame's wishes, backing down only because there was no seal master the level of the Yandame around to guarantee the procedure's success. I did what I did for the good of the leaf, Danzo shot back, using a shunshin to appear in front of Obito and punch him by surprise. The Uchiha staggered a little, and teleported away before the War Hawk could finish him off. No, everything you did was for your own ambitions, because you wanted the Hokage seat, because you wanted a Konoha in your twisted image. Liars like you anger me. At least I have the courage to recognize the truth about my own motives. Tobi reappeared a few meters away, throwing 2 Fuma shuriken at his adversary. When all Bijou are mine, I will create a new world without feelings. A world where there is no nation, no lies, no identity, no pain. I will kill the self itself. Dodging the projectiles, Danzo retaliated by activating Shusui's Sharingan. Great Fireball Jutsu. Having copied Obito's own technique earlier in the fight, the War Hawk unleashed a blast of fire at the Uchiha. The man phased through it, showing genuine tiredness. Danzo silently cursed his lack of foresight. Shusui's Koto Amatsukami could have won the fight, if it wasn't this long and hard to prepare. He should have prepared it before going into battle. Phew, at this rate you're gonna win, Obito deadpan. You're tougher than expected. I guess it's time to stop playing fair. Before Danzo could blink, a white maw broke past the ground underneath his feet and ripped his face off. Using another Izanagi to materialize away from the fake Madara Uchiha, Danzo ground his teeth. You didn't think I beat all your men on my own, did you? Obito snickered. You aren't the only guy here with a personal army. Dozens of monsters emerged from the soil and the walls of the room, all identical. They were vaguely humanoid, although they lacked clothes, reproductive organs, and hair. Their flesh was white, their teeth were fangs, and their eyes feral. He had already seen these creatures somewhere. Zetsu. Zetsu was their template, the first of thousands. Obito grabbed one of the creatures, Danzo's Sharingan noticing the chakra being transferred from the beast to the renegade Uchiha. Kill him, boys, the remaining creatures charged with a hiss. Joining his hands, Danzo pushed them back with a powerful gale. However, more rushed inside the room. One nearly killed the old man by ripping its fangs into his jugular, getting his head perforated by a blade of wind for his trouble. They feel neither pain nor fear, Obito commented, replenishing his reserves by draining as Zetsu clones. They don't have particular abilities or tactics, but they're good at killing. There are 10,000 of them in this building. Within 3 years, I could make 100,000 of them. Quantity is a quality all of its own, a wise man said. Biting his finger, Danzo summoned his Baku and stood at its top. The creature looked like a dark orange elephant, with tiger limbs and bandages around his head. The beast started sucking the nearest Zetsu clones, while Danzo exploited the suction to launch new wind techniques at Obito. They slaughtered your men like pigs, the Uchiha mocked, using his space-time ninjutsu to phase through the attacks. A few of the root killed some of my pets, but they were swarmed in the end. And now, these creatures are all converging toward this location. All I have to do is send waves after waves of them at you until you run out of Sharingan to sacrifice. Don't worry, when you're dead for real, I will have them attack whatever leave Nin's Sasori's pawns spared. It should be entertaining. 100 Zetsu clones dropped from the ceiling, surprising Danzo. The Baku summon was quickly swarmed and roared in pain as its flesh was ripped off. The War Hawk himself died once again, his throat ripped apart by one of the creature's fangs. Reviving once again, Danzo was forced to his knees. He had exhausted nearly all his chakra. At best, he could use one last Izanagi by sacrificing Shirsui's eye. Finally out of chakra? Obito mocked. Let's make a deal. You tell me where I can find Edo Tensei, and I promise it won't hurt much. If you and these creatures get away, you will harm the leaf. Danzo joined his fingers, deciding to activate his last ace in the hole. If so, seals covered the walls. The corridors of Root space lightened. The entire lair shook, and in a split second, Danzo's world was swallowed by a bright light. When he opened his last eye again, Shirsui's Sharingan dying out, Danzo stood in the center of a smoking crater, under the bright sky. His entire base had self-destructed, annihilating the street it was hidden under. If the charred remains surrounding the War Hawk were to be trusted, then the Zetsu clones had been destroyed to the last one. I succeeded, Shimura whispered proudly. I did it. Ha ha, no. A kunai pierced Danzo's back, causing him to gasp in a mix of pain and surprise. That was close. But I'm better than that, Obito whispered to Danzo, as he materialized behind the Root leader. You did wipe out my pets though. Bastard. It will take so long to get new ones. He slowly approached his mouth from Danzo's ears. Any last words? Danzo, for the first time in his life, smiled with pride. Thanks for being so close. The seal on his stomach activated. Toby was too surprised to escape. A sphere of blackness grew out of Danzo, absorbing light, sound, matter itself. The renegade Uchiha, caught off guard, drowned in the darkness, unable to teleport away. When the jutsu was over, Danzo collapsed to the ground in exhaustion. Sarutobi, he whispered with his last breath. The rest is up to you. Silence fell on the battleground for a few instants, until a two-faced creature rose from the ground, having observed the battle from afar since the very beginning. Fuck, Toby has been sealed. Zetsu cried in horror. He's dead. What is sealed can be unsealed, moron. I think. Maybe. His other half snorted. Let's grab Danzo's corpse and get the hell out of there. And the city? White Zetsu asked. Shouldn't we be helping Orochimaru? Toby's our priority. He'll have to win on his own. Black Zetsu snickered. The plan has gone off the rails. Oh fuck. White Zetsu blinked. He's there. Who? Black Zetsu suddenly picked up the very special chakra signature. Guess he was motivated after all. As Enma turned into an adamantine staff, parrying the Kusanagi, Sarutobi suddenly realized he hadn't aged well. His mind was as sharp as ever, true, but what he had gained in experience, he had lost in vitality. Hitting 70 was considered exceptional in the shinobi world, yet old age was a terrifying foe, weakening the Hokage's muscles and reducing his endurance. And Orochimaru fought with unmatched strength, which was odd. Getting tired already, sensei? The renegade Sannin's mocking sneer caused Sarutobi to curse himself for not having killed his student, back in his underground laboratory. With a kick, the snake pushed back his opponent, and the Kusanagi extended like a spear. The Hokage dodged the strike, while Terumi unleashed small bullets of lava at the Akatsuki member. Sarutobi was both impressed by the Mizukage's Kekai Genka and Orochimaru's flawless agility, as he dodged the attack with grace and elegance. So much potential had gone to waste. Slamming his hands to the ground, Orochimaru summoned a true sea of snakes, advancing forward to consume all life in its path. Placing his staff horizontally, Sarutobi jumped on it and achieved a difficult balance, the reptiles unable to adhere to Enma and reach the Hokage. Meanwhile, Mei Terumi created a wall out of lava, shielding herself. Sarutobi spared a glance at his other students. The undead Shodai had created gigantic roots, preventing the Sandaime from seeing anything more than a few explosions. So far, Jiraiya and Tsunade seemed to do well. Orochimaru suddenly turned into inert earth, the real one attempting to stab his teacher in the back. Reacting quickly, Sarutobi spun on himself and kicked Orochimaru's skull with all his strength. The bone in his leg broke upon contact, pain flaring through his nerves. The Sannin's bones were harder than steel, and he barely felt the strike. Grabbing the Hokage's leg, Orochimaru tossed him into the sea of snakes. Sarutobi made hand seals midair, creating a pillar of rock to land on safely. Mei chose this time to reappear, incinerating the reptiles with a powerful fire jutsu. Sarutobi, unable to move due to his broken leg, decided to give her support, creating dragons of earth to launch at Orochimaru. His renegade student dodged them, avoiding the flames that had slaughtered his summons. Jiraiya seized the opportunity to sneak on his old teammate and hit him with a Rasengan. The surprised snake summoner was propelled against his own barrier, crashing against it and being set on fire through mere contact. As Orochimaru shed his body to survive the flames, Tsunade reappeared at her sensei's side, promptly healing the leg. "It will hurt," she said upon placing the bone back in place, causing Sarutobi to groan. "Don't overtax it, it's only a temporary solution." "Alright," Sarutobi glanced at Jiraiya. "The Edo Tensei?" "Sealed," the man replied, presenting him a scrolls covered with symbols. "It will hold them until we can release the technique." The Hokage nodded, and prepared a new jutsu. Mizukage Dano, Jiraiya, now! The three ninjas all unleashed a blast of fire at Orochimaru, incinerating his flesh. The Sannin hissed, his skin falling apart and revealing the true face underneath, that of a teenager. Sarutobi blinked, upon realizing the truth. "No, you completed this abominable technique?" "I did more than that, sensei," the man smirked malevolently, his body transforming. His skin turned brown, a tail grew out of his tailbone, and sharpened bony spikes pierced his own skin. "Let me show you the power of the last Kagaya." Spikes of bones were projected in all directions, forcing the group of S-rank ninjas to disperse. Moving with incredible speed, Orochimaru prepared to crush the Sandame's head with his bare hands. Jiraiya grabbed his teacher, leapt away with him, and turned his hair into needles. The projectiles didn't even pierce the traitor's skin. What were they supposed to do? The man mocked Jiraiya. "They were supposed to hurt," Jiraiya deadpanned. "Guess I will have to try a bigger caliber." "Sorry, but they'll never compare to bone bullets," Orochimaru shot back, pointing his fingers at his enemies and firing multiple, small spheres of reinforced bones. Jiraiya and his partners barely dodged them, aware they could easily pierce any protection. Tsunade, the fastest of the group, sneaked up on Orochimaru and punched his ribs with enough strength to shatter a mountain. The traitor was propelled against the purple barrier, cracking it and causing the entire building to shake. Yet, as he rose up to his feet, he shed his body once more, reappearing unharmed. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. "This would have killed a giant summon. By combining this special body structure with my own regenerative ninjutsu, I am practically indestructible." Orochimaru grew a javelin out of his arm. "I can't say the same for you." Tsunade rushed forward, this time intending to crush her former teammate's head and kill him in one blow. Orochimaru smirked, and stabbed his own arm with his javelin, throwing his red blood at Tsunade's face. The woman instantly stopped moving, paralyzed by her hemophobia. Orochimaru laughed and launched his javelin toward her chest, aiming for the heart. Sarutobi reacted on impulse, and pushed his female student out of the way. The spear of bone pierced the old man's iron armor plate, went through the stomach, and ravaged the intestines on its way out. Blood was splattered on the ground, the Hokage collapsing. Tsunade snapped out of her trance, and rushed to his side. "Sensei!" Meanwhile, Jiraiya, reacting faster than Orochimaru, smashed a giant Rasengan on the traitor's chest. The renegade Sannin hit the purple barrier, which finally shattered, and was propelled into the arena. Trusting Tsunade to save the Sandame, Jiraiya jumped in pursuit of the traitor. As both rivals locked eyes, each preparing the summoning jutsu, Jiraiya couldn't help but find it familiar to his last duel with Orochimaru, back when he left the village. This time it'll be different, he promised himself mentally. The arena was filled with smoke, and two gigantic beasts faced each other. This time, none of them complained about their summoner, and attacked one another in silence. Manda, the colossal purple snake, moved to bite Gamabunta, while the toad boss parried with his blade. Moving to avoid the two titans, their summoners jumped into the audience's stands to pursue their duel. The place was covered with corpses, and ninjas were still fighting to the death. Most wisely exited the range of the two S-rank ninjas, and the unlucky ones were sliced in half when Orochimaru unleashed horizontal blades of wind at his rival. The toad sage barely dodged the attack, but it still grazed his left side and drew blood. "I hope you realize I'm going to kill you, like I just killed Sensei." Orochimaru attempted to threaten his adversary, as 4 snakes swirled around his hand and extended to bite Jiraiya. I would like to see you try. The toad sage unleashed a stream of fire with his mouth, incinerating the reptiles and forcing Orochimaru to step back. Mei chose this time to return, unleashing an acid mist on Orochimaru by surprise. The astonished Sannin hissed in pain, both his flesh and bones dissolving, while meanwhile the 2 giant summons dissipated, Gamabunta due to having been bitten in the jugular, Manda because his face had been impaled by a giant katana. Orochimaru vainly attempted to exit the poison mist, only for Jiraiya to smash his nose with a Rasengan when he tried. The man was pushed inside the mist once more, cursing. I am the immortal Orochimaru, the Sannin boasted, preparing to shed his body again. I am without equal. I hate to break it to you, but… Mei Terumi ignored the man's ramblings, as she fired a small bullet of lava in the mist's direction. Women aren't always soft. Orochimaru barely had the time to blink before the poisonous mist ignited. The explosion's blast nearly caused Jiraiya to fall on his back. The shock caused the stadium to shake, the noise was deafening, and the renegade Sannin was torched alive. His flesh was incinerated, his blood boiled, and his organs exploded. Only the unbreakable skeleton remained, falling lifeless to the ground. Mei waited an instant, narrowing her eyes. Did I get him? After sealing the remains, just in case, the toad sage gave his answer. Yeah, Jiraiya whispered. We won. When the scorpion's tail wiped out the entire street in one sweeping motion, the ninjas dispersed. So, Sasuke shouted, for grabbing both him and Naruto, insect-like wings growing out of her shoulders. Kakashi and Hyuga meanwhile jumped roof from roof, trying to dodge the creature's tail. Does anybody have a plan? Kill the beast, and kick Sasori in the balls, Fu replied. In that order, if possible. Alright, let me correct this. Does anybody have a good plan? He's a freaking human puppet, he doesn't have balls. I think someone should check out later. Naruto bit his finger. Fu, I'll need your help. Summon a big one, but hopefully, not Manda. I'm pretty sure he would rather eat us than help. Got it. The trio landed on a distant street, and Naruto offered his blood to Fu. The girl completed the summoning and slammed her hands to the ground. Smoke filled the entire district, as a giant cobra materialized. Who dares summon me in the middle of my nap? Smog sneered, his nostrils releasing smoke. He glanced at his summoner and narrowed his eyes. Oh, it's you tourists. What do you want? How much will I have to pay you to kill a giant scorpion without doing too much property damage? Naruto asked. Not enough. If you ignore the property damage, we can work on a decent paycheck later. Konoha will be destroyed anyway if we fail, Apophis told Naruto, the snake still hiding under his master's clothes. I hope nobody will take him for one of Orochimaru's summons, Naruto mentally added. Alright, go for the kill. The snake charged, crawling and hissing. The giant scorpion moved sideways, its stinger launching shots of corrosive poison at the giant reptile. The creature dodged them easily and closed the gap, swirled around the arachnid's tail, and started biting it. The fangs pierced the monster's carapace, resulting in the scorpion shrieking and attempting to shrug off its attacker. Phil, you're going to give Smog air support with the Nanabi's help, Naruto ordered, forming a strategy. Sasuke, we'll try sneaking up on Sasori. Good luck then, Fu snorted, blood and green chakra mixing to create a shell over her skin. She flew upward, then dive-bombed one of the scorpion's legs, crushing it and immobilizing the creature. How are we supposed to beat Sasori in close combat? Sasuke asked. It didn't work out well last time. I've got a trump card that could take him out, but I need to get close enough to pull it off, and since it has a limited duration, we got to make it count. Naruto raised his eyes to the skies, noticing the growing black cloud above him. You know what, I changed my mind. Let's run. A metallic sand fell from the skies, turning into tendrils and spears. The two Konohanins fled as fast as they could, the projectiles flattening the houses around them. Tendrils of black sand progressed toward them, forcing the teens to dodge them with difficulties. Sasuke searched under his clothes, bringing out a small bottle, and threw it on the ground, releasing a small pond of water. Water-style, aqua projectiles. Sasuke shouted, the water turning into small, pressurized bullets. They deflected the tendrils, giving Naruto enough time to try locating Sasori. The man was standing on a flying platform of black sand, the third Kazekage hovering closer to Naruto and Sasuke. Silently, the puppet's arms opened and unleashed a volley of kunai at the duo. Sasuke used the remaining water to create a dolphin-shaped missile of liquid, which impacted against the projectiles. Han's technique? Naruto asked, searching a projectile in his bag. Yeah, Sasuke admitted, glancing briefly at his friend's weaponry, a bottle full of a black liquid equipped with a handkerchief, which Naruto promptly set on fire with his lighter. What's that? A spice drink, Naruto deadpanned, throwing it with all his strength upward at the third Kazekage, as Sasori was too far away to be targeted directly. The projectile landed on its face and set it, and its robes ablaze, much to Sasori's horror. I guess making puppets of wood has its downsides. The black iron shifted uncontrollably, Sasori's platform decomposing. The rest of the metal sand flowed in all directions, without aim or purpose. The Kazekage lost control of its magnetism, Naruto noted, before realizing a literal tsunami of metal was rushing in their direction, with little way to escape. A wall of earth formed out of the soil and stopped the attack, shielding the boys. They glanced behind them, locking eyes with their savior. I guess I'm a little late. As always, Kakashi shrugged behind his ANBU mask. The moment was quickly interrupted when the third Kazekage, still ablaze, shattered the earth wall and charged toward Naruto, a buzzsaw having replaced his left arm. Lower! Naruto heard a female voice shout. When Naruto threw himself to his knees, barely avoiding brutal mutilation, a tanto sliced the third Kazekage in half. The puppet's remains crashed on the ground right at Naruto's side. Thanks, the blonde told Hyuga, as the woman put her blade back in her sheath. No problem, Hyuga told him as she helped Naruto get back to his feet, before Kakashi removed the wall, allowing them to see Sasori. The puppeteer was around 100 meters away, staring in genuine surprise at his destroyed puppet. He glanced briefly at his summon, which was slowly being ripped apart by Fu's claws and Smog's fangs in spite of its valiant resistance. I never thought I would lose these two, Sasori told himself, before removing his clothes, revealing 6 arms, a cable extending from his belly and scrolls attached to his back. It has been a long time since I used myself. Using the cable to lift himself in the air, Sasori seized one of his scrolls and opened it. Naruto blinked, when the skies above him were shadowed with 100 puppets armed to the teeth. I will show you a spectacle that brought a country to its knees, the puppeteer boasted, chakra strings forming out of his chest and animating the puppets. Kneel before my performance. The 100 puppets descended, their weapons raised. I need to get close, Naruto told Kakashi and Hyuga, the latter instantly backing him up. The two ran towards Sasori while dodging its puppets, Sasuke and Kakashi destroying them with fireballs. Back down, Sasori warned, his hands starting to shoot streams of fire at the blonde. Hyuga pushed them back with a powerful gale, and proceeded to cut in half an axe-wielding puppet with her tanto the following second. Sasori wisely attempted to back down, suspicious of Naruto's plan, only for Fu to tackle him by surprise from behind, crashing with the redhead to the ground. The puppeteer quickly pushed her back with a stream of pressurized water, but Naruto finally had him in range. Touching his arm, Naruto activated the anti-chakra seal. There was no flashy effect, no sparkle, no dramatic wind. Yet the effects were instantaneous. Sasori fell to his knees, the chakra flow allowing his body to move disturbed. The strings he created vanished, his 100 puppets turning inanimate. Fu shrieked in brief pain, struggling to maintain her chakra cloak. Hyuga coughed, as if she suddenly caught a flu. Are you alright? Naruto asked the two girls, while Sasuke and Kakashi quickly joined them. They looked deadly sick. I've been worse, Hyuga chuckled. Nana's chakra is more potent than a human's, hence, I still have access to its power, Fu replied. Let's make it quick. The blonde nodded and glanced at the former Sannin. So? Naruto asked, remembering Sasori's words in the Forest of Death. How does it feel to be dragged to my level? Sasori didn't reply anything. He couldn't move, his body being dependent on chakra to move. Naruto and his allies carefully approached him, with Naruto being the closest. Then he noticed Sasori's fingers twitching. Taking a step back, Naruto barely avoided a sneak attack, a kunai barely missing his leg. Sasori, much to his cousin's shock, rose back to his feet, albeit with difficulties. Impossible. Always have a backup is my motto, the puppeteer shot back. I've got a battery. It's a poor substitute for chakra, but it will work for a time. He snickered. Interesting secret weapon, Naruto. I am genuinely surprised. Naruto searched inside his bag, preparing to bring out his flamethrower. A Fuma shuriken thrown in his direction interrupted the blonde, who instinctively dodged. Much to his horror, Naruto realized half a dozen ninja in gray were rushing in their direction. Their headband's symbol was similar to a sound note. You think you're the only one who thought about bringing reinforcements? Sasori deadpanned, before turning his back and running away. Shit, he's trying to get out of the seal's range. Naruto cursed. Hyuga, Sasuke, Fu, take care of these ninjas, Kakashi commanded, before locking eyes with the blonde. Care for a game of hide and slay? Naruto nodded and raced after Sasori, praying his friends would be safe. The three engaged Sasori's goons, while Naruto and Kakashi rushed after the missing nin. They quickly caught up to him inside a half-destroyed alley. Sasori used a pile of rubbles as cover and started firing small fireballs with one of his arms to keep his enemies at bay, Naruto and Kakashi hiding behind the alley's corner. Searching in his bag, Naruto quickly put on his heat-resisting suit and gas mask. At my signal, we rush in, Kakashi said, preparing 3 smoke bomb. Go! He ordered when tossed them in Sasori's direction. As smoke filled the alley, reducing Sasori's field of vision, the duo charged inside and progressed past the piles of rubbles. Kakashi reached Sasori first, a kunai in hands. The redhead dodged the attack, grabbed Kakashi's shoulders, and propelled the copy nin against the wall with all his strength. Unfortunately for the puppeteer, it gave Naruto enough time to close the gap and activate his flamethrower. Sasori shrieked when flames swallowed his body whole. The wood composing his body burned, as he was brought to his knees. Naruto pursued his ruthless assault, although he felt a brief instant of sadness over killing a family member. Then he remembered what happened to Anko, Sakura, and Sai, causing him to press the flamethrower's button more forcefully. He would have roasted Sasori alive, had not pain suddenly raced through his arm, forcing him to stop. The place where the anti-chakra seal was located felt like hell, and when Sasori's burning form rose up once more, it didn't take long for Naruto to guess what had happened. The seal had glitched. I hate prototypes and design flaws, Naruto cursed, as strings of chakra swirled around his flamethrower, stealing it. A metallic hand caught and tossed it to the ground. As Sasori emerged from the flames, Naruto couldn't help but shiver. The wood and face had been turned to ashes. The fake skin had burned. All that remained was a skeleton of metal, the armature around which Sasori's artificial body was built. A small compartment, probably containing Sasori's vital organs, was pulsating inside the ribs. The face had been replaced with a skull, the eyes with glass. You have been a bad brat, Naruto, Sasori whispered, his voice created by artificial lungs. Time to get punished. He quickly charged. Naruto instantly grabbed his Tanto's pommel and unsheathed it, targeting the articulations of one of Sasori's arm, slicing it. However, he was no match in close combat for the puppeteer. One of the monster's metal hands grabbed Naruto's throat and lifted him above the ground. Even through the heat suit, Naruto could sense the heat from the melting metal. This is very sad, Sasori whispered serenely, one of his hands turning into a buzzsaw and aiming for Naruto's arm. But I will have to cut a limb or two. You left me no choice. Apophis chose that instant to pierce the heat suit, swirling around the metal arm and halting its progress. The snake hissed in pain over touching the hot steel, and unfortunately, it became quickly clear the puppeteer's inhuman strength would prevail over his feeble resistance. Naruto's eyes noticed Kakashi sneaking behind Sasori, a ball of lightning inside his palm. The puppeteer heard him, released Naruto and rotated, raising his weapon. Blood was splattered over the ground. Sasori's buzzsaw sliced Kakashi's throat, while Kakashi's Chidori destroyed Sasori's chest, destroying the heart inside. The two stood immobile, in a mix of astonishment and despair, glancing at their mutual mortal wounds. I see, Sasori whispered with a strange sense of serenity, falling to the ground with his defeated opponent. This was unforeseen. Kakashi would have replied something, if he still had a voice. Killed, by the son of my parents' murderer. Sasori glanced away, his body failing him. Such a stupid way to go. Kakashi didn't have last words, but he had one last thought. As he started bleeding to death, his sight failing him, he pictured a face in his mind, that of a friend long gone. What would you think of me, Obito? When Naruto rose up again, he got rid of the mask and inhaled deeply. Are you okay? Apophis asked, the cobra sounding genuinely afraid for the blonde's life. Yeah, the Jinchuriki replied, before glancing at the two dead ninjas. After briefly checking out Sasori's corpse in case he was playing possum, and quickly realizing he wasn't, Naruto put his tanto back in its sheath and examined Kakashi. The man's heart had stopped beating, and he seemed strangely peaceful in death. Naruto sighed and glanced at the dead redhead. Farewell, Sasori, Naruto said, upon picking up the flamethrower and proceeding to burn to ashes any remaining organic part of his dead cousin, in case Pain had the means to repair him. I sincerely hoped it could have gone another way. Maybe in another life, it will be different. When the fire died down, Naruto put his flamethrower back in his bag, and with great difficulties lifted and carried Kakashi's corpse. The Sharingan was too precious to be left for any passerby to extract, and it would allow Konoha to give Kakashi decent funerals. I hope Hyuga and Ko managed to win, he told himself, before shrugging. Of course they did. The first thing he found, when he returned to the site of the battle, was the corpse of a giant scorpion and the remains of Sasori's goons. Anko returned home. Apophis told Naruto, hiding under his clothes, I sensed 3 heartbeats a bit farther north. A short time later, the blonde found his friends laying on the ground, bloodied and unconscious. A man had put his foot over Sasuke's head and locked eyes with Naruto, who instantly recognized him. The man had orange, almost red short spiky hair. His skin was deathly pale and covered with piercings. His eyes were inhuman, a dojutsu. His slashed headband represented Amigakure, and his black robes were covered with red clouds. This man, Naruto heard Apophis whisper, he has no heartbeat. He isn't alive. You must flee. You have gone farther than you should have. But then again, you hadn't crossed a god either. The ride is over, Naruto. Pain raised his hand. Time to pray. An invisible force sent Naruto crashing against the wall, knocking him out instantly. Glancing down at the town of Konoha, the 6 paths of Pain observed the fighting. Blood was filling the street, former allies fought one another, banners were forgotten in the chaos. All that remained was the desire to harm someone, to endure and survive. Peace was a foreign notion. Obviously, this city hadn't suffered enough to reach enlightenment. 5 paths of Pain left, each of them carrying a body. The Deva path floated above the Hokage monument, joined his palms, and uttered a death sentence. Shinra Tensei, and the Hokage monument crumbled, the landslide devastating the leaf. In a single instant, hundreds of lives were wiped out by rolling rocks. In a single second, buildings that lasted for nearly a century were crushed underneath the head of the Yondaime Hokage. As the power of the Rinnegan unleashing untold destruction, true equality was achieved. Men, women, children, civilians, ninjas, Konohanin, Tsunanin, were the same in death. The Grim Reaper did not discriminate this day. When the technique was finished, a quarter of Konoha had been reduced to ruins. As Pain contemplated his work, flying above the ground to return home, he found himself drunk on this vision. Pain to the world.